Chapter 121. All members of the three tribes understood. They were out of options. In the face of the absolute power of the three spirit sea realm loose cultivators, they had no power to resist and no power to fight back. Hatred, an immense loathing surged in the hearts of every member of the three tribes. However, even the strongest among them was no match for the three loose cultivators. Even if they were filled with hatred, what could they possibly use to confront these three loose cultivators? It was precisely for this reason that the three acted so brazenly against them. The weak are at the mercy of others like this. The tribespeople, seething with an indomitable hatred, and the youngsters who had just emerged from the ancestral secret realm, trembled with rage upon seeing Qian Ming's corpse. But just like the others, they were utterly helpless. Hand over the secret treasures. In the end, with a heavy sigh, Patriarch Qian said to all the youngsters. The youngsters clenched their fists tightly, unwilling to surrender their treasures, unwilling to submit to the oppression of the three great rogue cultivators. Bring out all the treasures. This is the world of martial arts. We are inferior to them. We can only admit defeat. Not until Bai Xiaodai bit her teeth hard and spoke out, wiping the spiritual consciousness from her ethereal spirit ring and throwing it towards the three great rogue cultivators, did the rest follow suit and reluctantly produce their treasures. Endure. We must endure. This thought crossed the minds of all the youngsters, and Bai Xiaodai, being the first to surrender her treasure, had her reasons. Even though her ethereal spirit ring contained 2 creation yuan pills that she hadn't yet had the heart to consume, she was willing to relinquish it. On one hand, she was reluctant to see her people hurt. On the other, she thought of Yi Chun. Among all the youngsters, the one with the most treasures was Yi Chun, who had previously said that he had exchanged many treasures for his tribespeople. Yi Chun hadn't emerged yet, and the treasures were still with him. As long as Yi Chun was there was still hope for the 3 tribes. Now, they had to first satisfy the 3 great rogue cultivators and get them to leave. Otherwise, once Yi Chun also emerged and the treasures in his possession were taken by these 3, then truly everything would be over. At least you know what's good for you. With a sweep of his hand, collecting all the treasures the youngsters had thrown over, second-in-command Wei Wuya said coldly with a sneer. Don't think I don't know your little schemes. I'm afraid many of you are thinking of seeking vengeance against us in the future. Fine, I'll give you a chance. This time you've offered up your treasures. I'll spare your lives. Whether you can take revenge on us, that will depend on your skills. Having said that, Wei Wuya immediately turned his attention to the treasures in his hand. In their hearts, Wei Wuya and the other 2 did not take these youngsters seriously at all. Not to mention ascending from the true Qi realm to the spirit sea realm, which was something not 1 in 10,000 could achieve. Even if a few of these youngsters managed to step into the spirit sea realm, the 3 of them who had reached this realm earlier would fear nothing. When the time came, they would just wrestle control then. For now, the most important thing was to examine the treasures. Wei Wuya, Lei Qing, and Xikong Miao all turned their attention to the collection of treasures. When they saw the 2 creation yuan pills inside Bai Xiaodia's ethereal spirit ring, although they did not recognize the pills, the miraculous halos on the pills astonished and delighted the 3 great rogue cultivators. What is this treasure? The first to speak, Xikong Miao, took out the creation yuan pill and asked Bai Xiaodai directly. He had scanned all the young people with his spiritual sense when they threw their treasures to see if anyone had kept anything hidden. Seeing that no one dared to conceal any treasures, he then relaxed. Also, Xikong Miao noticed that only the earlier killed Qian Ming and this girl Bai Xiaodai had storage secret treasures. Now that he had spotted the creation spirit pill in Bai Xiaodia's storage secret treasure, he naturally asked her directly. Gazing at the creation yuan pill in Xikong Miao's hand, Bai Xiaodai also showed a trace of reluctance. Originally, after breaking through to the 12th level of the true Qi realm with the aid of the small spirit pill, she could have then consumed a creation yuan pill to try and break into the spirit sea realm, but she had decided to solidify her cultivation and get familiar with the realm of the 12th level before using the creation yuan pill. Bai Xiaodai never expected that immediately upon leaving the ancestral secret realm, they would encounter the 3 great rogue cultivators looting treasures. and she wouldn't even get the chance to consume her creation Yuan pill. This is the creation Yuan pill, which can improve the success rate of advancing to the 7th level of the rotating pill realm by 70% when consumed in the later stages of the Spirit Sea realm, Bai Xiaodai said indifferently to Sikong Miao without hiding anything. Improve the success rate of advancing to the rotating pill realm by 70%? A divine pill. This is truly a divine pill. Upon hearing Bai Xiaodia's words, not just Sikong Miao, but Wei Wuya and Lei Qing also couldn't help but feel elated. Worthwhile. All three felt that this heist was truly worth it. Leaving aside everything else, just the creation Yuan pill and the ethereal spirit ring alone made their loot quite substantial. After they had finished tallying all the treasures, though none was found to be more precious than the creation Yuan pill and the ethereal spirit ring, the wealth in their hands was more than enough to satisfy them. Gathering up the treasures and preparing to return to Wanya Mountain to divvy up their spoils, the three of them lifted their gaze to the members of the three tribes in the arena. Their eyes, in particular, swept over the youngsters who had entered the ancestral land. Weren't there 30 of you who entered that secret realm? Why have only 29 come out? Glancing over the youngsters who had come out of the ancestral land, the three great rogue cultivators asked aloud. Chapter 122. Bai Xiaodai then spoke in a light voice. There's another who encountered danger in the ancestral lands and has died within. Died within the ancestral lands? The three loose cultivators glanced at where the secret realm's entrance had been in the ancestral lands, nodded and said, "What a pity indeed. Let's go. There isn't much of value left to take from these small clans. Back to the stronghold. Some treasures. We will need to further ascertain their utility." In the end, having pocketed all the treasures, the three loose cultivators no longer spared a glance at the ashen-faced clanspeople. They transformed into 3 beams of escape light, flying toward Wanya Mountain. Having obtained what they had hoped for, they were satisfied and departed. The welfare of the clan members was of no concern to them at all anymore. As the leaders of Black Cliff Stronghold, they had committed numerous acts of plunder, and the strongest of the 3 clans were only in the true Qi realm. In the eyes of the loose cultivators, they were utterly inconsequential. Chenner is dead in the ancestral lands? When they heard Bai Xiaodai relay that someone had not made it out and had died in the ancestral lands, the parents of Yi Chun utterly collapsed. They had noticed that Yi Chun was not among those who had emerged as soon as the youths had come out. At that time, the ruthless actions of the 3 loose cultivators had left them no opportunity to inquire about Yi Chen's safety. But they could never have imagined such an outcome. No, the young master is fine. He must be fine. The young master is so powerful. He definitely won't have any troubles. The little maid Tower was crying in disbelief, with tears streaming down like pearls. Although she refused to believe it, the ancestral land's portal had closed, and she had not seen her young master. Fear gripped her, fearing the outcome was as Bai Xiaodai had stated. Yi Chun. Is it Yi Chun who met with trouble? Not only Yi Chen's parents and Tower disbelieved. All clanspeople who knew of Yi Chun could not believe it either. Yi Chun had become their hope, the most promising youth of their clan. If something had happened to Yi Chun, did that mean their greatest hope was gone? Yi Chun. On hearing the news of Yi Chen's misfortune, Patriarch Yi could no longer restrain himself and burst out in anguished cries. The loss of Qian Ming had already been an unbearable blow for the 3 clans, and losing Yi Chun would completely shatter their greatest hope. Seeing the clanspeople engulfed in grief, Bai Xiaodai stopped the other youths from revealing the truth. She approached Yi Xiaotian and Lin Rin. "Uncle, Aunt, Yi Chen had something he wanted me to tell you." "Sir Yi Chen, you all listen to later on." Bai Xiaodai called the 2 despondent patriarchs and the other youths together, whispering a few words to them. Then, everyone hoisted the unconscious patriarch Bai and the other clanspeople, leaving the ancestral lands. "What? You said Yi Chun is fine?" Inside the secret chamber of the 3 clans, upon hearing Bai Xiaodai and the other youths assert that Yi Chen was unharmed, Yi Xiaotian, Lin Rin, Tower, and both the patriarchs went from deep sorrow to immense surprise and joy in an instant. Yi Chun is truly unharmed. Not only is he unharmed, but he's now within a great opportunity, which is why he didn't come out. I didn't mention it earlier because I was worried that if the three loose cultivators heard about it, they might come back to kill him. Bai Xiaodai narrated the experiences of Yi Chun within the ancestral lands to the elders of the chamber, the family, Yi Chen's parents, and tower. The other youths supplemented the story continuously as well. When they learned that Yi Chun had created an unprecedented miracle during the test to collect the golden light beads, exchanging them for countless treasures that were still with him, both patriarchs were so overjoyed that they nearly fainted. This information must not be leaked. Now that the three loose cultivators have got their treasures, they probably won't pay us any more attention, but we can't let down our guard. We absolutely cannot draw their attention again before we have the means to deal with them, the patriarchs emphasized forcefully. Everyone nodded in agreement. And when Bai Xiaodai told them that Yi Chun became the first person from the three clans to enter the core area of the ancestral lands in over 1,000 years, both patriarchs were greatly comforted. By the end, when Bai Xiaodai revealed that Yi Chun even entered the ultimate challenge of the ancestral land's secret realm, acquiring the ultimate reward and opportunity, tears of joy streamed down the faces of the patriarchs. This time, their tears were tears of happiness. Yi Chun, our clan's greatest hope. With this great opportunity, I hope he can grasp it firmly, and once he grows powerful, our three clans will never be humiliated again. Tower, who hadn't stopped crying since hearing of Yi Chen's trouble, finally wiped her tears clean, hearing he was not only safe but had also created miracle after miracle. I knew it. The young master is the strongest. He's really fine. He's really fine. While the three clans went from deep sorrow to renewed hope, in the core area of the ancestral realm's secret realm, at the bottom of a mysterious golden lake, inside the ancient god tower, Yi Chun was still quietly cultivating on the 7th floor. In 10 more days, he would begin his new assault on the 8th floor of the ancient god tower. Chapter 123, 15th floor of the ancient god tower. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. In these 10 days, the suffering of humiliation from the three great loose cultivators who killed members of the Yi, Bai, and Chen families and stole their treasures, began to subside somewhat outside the secret realm of the ancestral land. However, no member of the families smiled as before, and everyone's heart was oppressed. They faced the challenges of Zhou Yuntian coming to the family to capture people, and then the Wanya Mountains' three great loose cultivators committing murder and robbery, leaving everyone in the three major families feeling an indescribable sense of humiliation. All the warriors of the three clans were desperately cultivating. Although the chances of defeating the three great loose cultivators were almost zero, no one was giving up. Everyone was trying to increase their strength, to contribute a bit more power to their own family. Adding to the gloom that still hung over the three families was the fact that Patriarch Bai, who had been injured by Sikong Miao, had not yet woken up, and his life force was growing weaker. Patriarch Bai was already the oldest of the three patriarchs. His injury and coma caused immense worry among the members of the families. The only good news was that Qianming's parents had finally awoken from their coma, but the grief of losing their son made them unwilling to leave the house, drowning in sorrow all day long. As the three families were shrouded in this desolate atmosphere, inside the secret realm, in the 7th floor of the ancient god tower where Yi Chun had been cultivating for 30 days, he was finally awakened by the activation sound of the teleportation array once more. The trial on the 8th floor is about to begin. Bai Xiaodai and the others should all have left the secret realm by now. Now, it's just me still venturing through this realm. Yi Chun looked up toward the outside of the ancient god tower. Although he couldn't see anything, he knew from the time spent tackling the tower that the other youths had already left the ancestral secret realm. I'll continue to the 8th floor. The great opportunity with the time flow in the ancient god tower is rare and should not be wasted. I must seize it firmly, striving to cultivate all the way through this ancient god tower, to raise my strength to an even stronger state. With a thought as swift as lightning, Yi Chun was transported to the 8th floor of the ancient god tower. The trial on the 8th floor has begun. Outside the ancient god tower, when Yi Chun broke into the 8th floor, the tower section marking the 8th floor immediately lit up. The spirit of the sacred artifact, looking through the ancient god tower at Yi Chun tackling the trials, renewed its spirited anticipation. With the other youths having left the secret realm, the spirit of the sacred artifact's full attention was completely focused on Yi Chun. It was looking forward to Yi Chun creating new miracles in the ancient god tower, and Yi Chun certainly did not disappoint it. In the time that followed, for every 3 days that passed outside, the next layer of the ancient god tower would light up. This indicated that Yi Chun was continuously advancing upward through the ancient god tower, successfully defeating the guardians of each floor and obtaining the tokens for the next floor, utilizing the different time flows to complete 30 days of cultivation on each floor. When Yi Chun successfully battled his way to the 10th floor of the ancient god tower, joy was evident in the eyes of the spirit of the sacred artifact. It had previously guessed that Yi Chun would easily break through to around the 9th floor, but unexpectedly, Yi Chun really made it past the 9th floor and entered the 10th. Moreover, according to the observations of the spirit of the sacred artifact, Yi Chun clearly still had spare strength. Upon just entering the 9th floor, he did not cultivate but directly slew the guardian. Clearly, Yi Chun had the strength to continue challenging even higher levels of the ancient god tower. When Yi Chun triumphantly entered the 12th floor of the ancient god tower, the spirit of the sacred artifact was no longer just overjoyed. Ecstasy was apparent in its gaze. The speed of cultivation is too rapid. Since Yi Chun entered the ancient god tower, only 33 days have passed outside, and that makes 330 days inside the tower. Yi Chun's combat strength has increased by more than 7 or 8 times compared to before. He is actually able to utilize the time inside the tower to constantly improve his strength, having so many methods to advance his power. Even if others cultivated the same length of time here, they wouldn't be able to improve so quickly. The spirit of the sacred artifact looked at Yi Chun stepping into the 12th floor of the ancient god tower, and then at the flowing golden waves in the sky above, where a golden monkey was frolicking in the waves. Could it be that Yi Chun really can break into the 15th floor of the ancient god tower, or even higher levels? The spirit of the sacred artifact felt like it was struggling to breathe. Its former master, Heavenly Saint Dekong, had instructed it that only those who could break into the 15th floor of the ancient god tower could receive Dekong's legacy and earn the highest reward linked to the golden monkey. The 15th floor of the ancient god tower was the highest record in the tower established by the geniuses of the Jindi ancient clan sent out by Dekong back in the day. Dekong used this record as the highest standard to test the clan's members. One could receive Dekong's highest reward by reaching the 15th floor. As for the 16th, 17th, and the highest 18th floors, no one had ever stepped into them, not even the geniuses of the Jindi ancient clan. The ancient god tower was a relic that Dekong had stumbled upon. Even the spirit of the sacred artifact and Dekong, who left behind the ancient god tower, didn't know what awaited in the last 3 layers. Now, Yi Chun was getting closer and closer to the 15th floor of the ancient god tower. He was getting closer to the last 3 floors, the 16th, 17th, and 18th, which no one had ever ventured through. Charge, charge, charge. As the spirit of the sacred artifact watched with immense anticipation, 42 days had passed outside, and Yi Chun, who had cultivated for 420 days within the ancient god tower, finally succeeded in entering the 15th floor. Chapter 124. Even the strongest young geniuses of the Jindi ancient clan could only break through to the 15th floor. Once he entered, although it took Yi Chun 10 days of cultivation to finally defeat the guardian on the 14th floor, it wasn't as smooth as the earlier challenges. Yet he still managed to break into the 15th floor. He has reached the best record in the challenge of the ancient god tower, meeting the highest reward requirements set by the old master. The spirit of the sacred artifact became excited, for it had finally found the person it had been waiting for. Come on, little guy. The person who will take you out of the ethereal spirit holy temple has been confirmed, and it's Yi Chun. The spirit of the sacred artifact reached out into the void toward the golden lake, and the golden monkey playing in the golden lake was directly pulled into the space of the ancient god tower. As soon as it entered the space of the ancient god tower, The golden monkey was extremely excited. It had always been able to see this ancient tower from the bottom of the lake, but had never been able to enter its space, which frustrated the little guy. It hadn't expected to actually be able to come here this time. At this moment, the spirit of the sacred artifact transformed into a 100-meter-tall giant golden monkey, standing outside the ancient god tower. It opened its hand wide and placed the golden monkey onto its palm. Iya! The golden monkey curiously looked at the incarnation of the spirit of the sacred artifact. Smiling gently at the golden monkey, the spirit of the sacred artifact pointed towards Ichan inside the ancient god tower. Little one, watch the other little guy who is going to take you away from the ethereal spirit holy temple as he takes on the challenge. He has now met the old master's requirements. Just wait for him to come out of the tower, and he will leave here with the highest reward, taking you with him. I hope he can also break through the 15th floor. I have never seen the last 3 levels being activated before. As the spirit of the sacred artifact spoke, it looked towards the inside of the ancient god tower. And the golden monkey, as if it understood the words of the spirit of the sacred artifact, gazed unblinkingly at Ichan with its eyes that shone like black jewels. Iya! The little guy was clearly very curious about Ichan, who was challenging the tower. This is the 15th floor of the ancient god tower? Ichan did not know that he had already met the requirements for Heavenly Saint Dekong's highest reward. He was still attempting to continue his challenge through the final few levels of the ancient god tower. Ichan looked at the space of the 15th floor he just entered, and at this moment, the space of the 15th floor of the ancient god tower had turned into a vast expanse of a blood-red landscape. In the sky above, there were blood-red fire clouds everywhere, and on the ground below, there were blood-red plants all around. As Ichan pushed his way up the ancient god tower, he found that inside the tower, different from its appearance from the outside, the tower's body shrank as it rose from the outside. Yet inside the ancient god tower, the higher he went, the larger the inner space of the tower became. Clearly, the ancient god tower not only involved the time law but also the space law. The guardians Ichan had faced in the previous 9 levels were all huge stone puppets, and with the tower levels getting higher, not only did the space inside the tower get larger, but the combat power of the guardians also increased rapidly. By the 9th floor, the combat power of the huge stone puppets had reached the level of Yi Chen's strength when he first entered the ancient god tower. If it weren't for Yi Chen having spent a great deal of time cultivating in the first 9 levels, and significantly improving his strength, he really might have fallen at the 9th level. After breaking into the 10th level of the ancient god tower, Yi Chen discovered that the guardians of each level were no longer those gigantic stone puppets but had undergone new changes. The guardian of the 10th level was a one-horned lizard. The 11th level featured a humanoid beast with 3 horns. The 12th level was guarded by a skeleton puppet wielding a bone spur. Although the guardians of each level varied, without exception, as one ascended higher, the strength of the guardians increased. By the 14th level, the guardian Yi Chen faced had transformed into a 17 or 18-meter-tall exotic humanoid beast covered with blue patterns, and its strength was unbelievably formidable. When Yi Chen entered the 14th level, he had already been cultivating inside the ancient god tower for a total of 390 days. He had managed to cultivate Gang Yuan True Qi in 8 of his 9 True Qi vortices, drawing ever closer to completing the 2nd layer of the primordial star scripture, the Gang Yuan mantra. This was still the result of Yi Chen focusing on cultivating Gang Yuan True Qi, desiring to unlock the 3rd layer of the Gang Yuan chapter of the primordial star scripture sooner, rather than specifically cultivating his True Qi realm. Otherwise, even though the amount of True Qi required for advancement in the True Qi realm increases in the latter stages, Yi Chen would have been able to break through directly to the 11th or even 12th level of the True Qi realm. The more True Qi one has, the more difficult it becomes to convert all of it into Gang Yuan True Qi. At this critical moment, where there was an urgent need to enhance his power, Yi Chen naturally chose to first cultivate Gang Yuan True Qi, attempting to convert all his True Qi into Gang Yuan True Qi as soon as possible, complete the Gang Yuan mantra to great accomplishment, and then re-enter Starlight Tower to obtain the even stronger subsequent cultivation technique of the primordial star scripture. While cultivating Gang Yuan True Qi, Yichun also mastered a fourth powerful sword intent, the sword intent of thunder. In martial skills, his gains were even greater. On the basis of the two sub-cultivation techniques, wind sword skills and thunder sword skills, he finally completed the training of the wind and thunder combined strike sword skills. On the foundation of wind movement skills and thunder movement skills, he also brought the wind thunder wings to great accomplishment. Yichun finally completed the thorough cultivation of the two top-grade Shen-level cultivation techniques, wind thunder sword skills and wind thunder movement. Not only had he brought the wind thunder sword skills and wind thunder movement skills to great accomplishment, but he had also spent a long time cultivating the Bone Text secret inheritance technique obtained from the ancient furnace of creation and the innate essence map exchanged at the myriad treasures steel, greatly benefiting from them. Even so, upon first entering the 14th level, Yichun did not instantly defeat the blue-patterned humanoid beast, but persisted through 10 days of arduous training. It was only after he had thoroughly integrated various martial techniques that he was able to defeat the blue-patterned humanoid beast and break through to the 15th level of the ancient god tower. When Yichun first entered the tower, he was already powerful enough to dominate opponents in the 11th level of the True Qi realm. By the time he reached the 7th level, Yichun was confident enough to suppress warriors in the 12th level of the True Qi realm. By the time he reached the 14th level, Yichun had been cultivating inside the ancient god tower for 390 days, surpassing a year's time. With his mastery of the four sword intents, the top-tier Shen-level cultivation techniques, and the Gang Yuan True Qi that was even more powerful than the Heaven and Earth True Qi. His arsenal of techniques had long given him the strength to battle with early-stage warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. Yichun had a feeling that the blue-patterned humanoid beast really did possess the strength of an early-stage Spirit Sea realm warrior. The guardian of the 14th level was that strong. Yichun was no longer sure what kind of opponent he would face in the 15th level. As Yichun was assessing the crimson-colored world of the 15th level of the ancient god tower, a breathtakingly beautiful woman with snow-white wings on her back suddenly appeared in the sky. Trialist! Congratulations on breaking into the 15th level of the ancient god tower. In the 15th level, your opponent will be me, Luo Qianxue, an invincible True Qi realm master from the Flying Spirit clan. The stunning woman gave Yichun a faint smile, speaking softly. Chapter 125 Wind Thunder Wings. The guardian of the 15th layer, unlike the previous 14 guardians who were reticent, actually started chatting with Yichun with a smile. Yichun clearly sensed that this breathtakingly beautiful woman with snow-white wings on her back was different from the previous 14 guardians, who seemed like puppets. This beautiful woman, however, was incredibly vivacious. An invincible master of the True Qi realm? A member of the Flying Spirit clan? Luo Qianxue? The implications behind this beautiful woman's words were even more surprising to Yichun. He had heard of 12th layer True Qi masters, but had never heard of an invincible master of the True Qi realm. What exactly was this realm of an invincible master of the True Qi realm? And what about the Flying Spirit clan? Could they be the group with wings on their backs yet resembling humans in appearance? Yichun had countless questions in his mind. He asked the beautiful woman, Luo, what realm is this invincible master of the True Qi realm you speak of? And is the Flying Spirit clan also an ancient tribe? Luo Qianxue explained with a smile. The True Qi realm is the first major realm of martial arts cultivation. Many peerless geniuses, although they have not stepped into the Spirit Sea realm, can still be invincible within the True Qi realm. No one in the same realm is their match. They can even challenge those in the Spirit Sea realm, surpassing their own realm. Such individuals are called invincible masters of the True Qi realm. Of course, there are countless cultivators in the True Qi realm. It's simply impossible to compare them all. But an invincible master of the True Qi realm, at the very least, is the strongest True Qi realm cultivator within their tribe. As for me, I am the strongest True Qi realm cultivator among the Flying Spirit clan, living in the northern region of the barbaric wilderness continent. My strength is enough to defeat early-stage Spirit Sea realm warriors. The strongest true Qi realm cultivator of a tribe who could defeat the formidable early-stage Spirit Sea realm warriors was the strength of the stunning woman, Luo Chenxue. You see, Spirit Sea realm warriors transform their Qi Sea into a Spirit Sea, and their true Qi into spiritual liquid. Each Spirit Sea realm warrior can fly and earth escape, possessing incredible divine skills. Even if a large group of 12th layer true Qi masters were to attack a Spirit Sea realm warrior, they might all be killed. The very thought of someone in the true Qi realm defeating someone in the Spirit Sea realm is simply unimaginable. Yi Chun, with the help of the high-grade Shenrank martial skill Wind Thunder movement and the resulting Wind Thunder wings, could fly, which otherwise compensated for the disadvantage of not being able to fly while fighting against Spirit Sea realm opponents. Moreover, it was the Gang Yuan true Qi he developed over more than a year and produced 8 true Qi vortices. This unique true Qi from the primordial star scripture was even more potent than the heaven and earth true Qi, that allowed his true Qi power to rival the spiritual liquid of early-stage Spirit Sea realm warriors. Together with the 4 sword intents among other methods, Yi Chun had, in just over a year, advanced to a level where he could compete with early-stage Spirit Sea realm warriors. The various techniques that Yi Chun mastered enabled him to progress from defeating 11th layer true Qi individuals to overcoming early-stage Spirit Sea realm warriors in just over a year, astonishing even the spirit of the sacred artifact. After all, many cultivators at the 12th layer of true Qi, even after decades of cultivation, were still no match for early-stage warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. Yi Chun's remarkable improvement was due to his countless methods, days of arduous cultivation, as well as invaluable great opportunities. It was unexpected that Luo Chenxue could also defeat early-stage Spirit Sea realm warriors and be titled an invincible master of the true Qi realm. Naturally, Yi Chun was thoroughly amazed by Luo Chenxue's power. Outside the ancient god tower, upon seeing the guardian of the 15th layer, the stunning woman Luo Chenxue, the spirit of the sacred artifact also showed a serious expression. Flying Spirit Clan's Luo Chenxue, the strongest guardian of the 15th layer. Back in the day, the youth of the Jindi ancient clan who stormed the ancient god tower, all who made it to the 15th layer, were defeated by this woman. Invincible in the true Qi realm, she truly deserves that title. I wonder if Yi Chun can make it past this challenge? The spirit of the sacred artifact grew worried for Yi Chun. Meanwhile, the golden monkey in the palm of the spirit of the sacred artifact also widened its glossy black eyes, alternating its gaze between Yi Chun and the beautiful woman, Luo Chenxue. Inside the 15th layer of the ancient god tower, the snow-white wings on Luo Chenxue's back slowly unfurled, revealing her graceful figure without a doubt. Trialist, from this 15th layer onward, it becomes incredibly challenging to continue your ascent. Back then, the master of the ancient god tower invited strong warriors from various tribes to participate in a grand true Qi realm competition. From the countless true Qi realm cultivators, for supreme true Qi realm individuals were chosen. Their divine sense illusions of battle were left behind to guard the 15th, 16th, 17th, and most challenging 18th layers of the ancient god tower respectively. Although I am an invincible true Qi realm master of the Flying Spirit clan and can suppress countless tribal warriors, in the final selection of these 4, I only ranked 4th, tasked with guarding this 15th layer. What you're seeing now is just a divine sense illusion of myself that I left inside the ancient god tower, but this illusion already possesses the strongest strength that I had when I participated in the true Qi realm competition, she said. And the guardians of the 3 layers above me are invincible experts from even more powerful clans than mine, and they are all very young and invincible in the true Qi realm. Defeating them will be many times more difficult than defeating me. So, Trialist, your real test begins now. It's the same as before. To enter the next level, you must defeat me to get the teleportation token that will take you there, she continued. Trialist, do you dare to battle with me? The breathtakingly beautiful Luo Chenxue asked Yi Chun with a smile. It turned out that Luo Chenxue was a divine sense illusion left in the ancient god tower, one of the strongest 4 out of the countless true Qi experts selected by the master of the ancient god tower during the true Qi competition. The guardians of the 16th, 17th, and 18th levels were even stronger than Luo Chenxue. Luo Qianshue's words also stirred up a fighting spirit in Yi Chun. To fight these four great guardians was akin to battling with the strongest individual of the true Qi realm from countless clans. Wasn't it? Yi Chun also wanted to find out where his strength cultivated in the true Qi realm would rank among the countless experts of the realm. Hearing the divine sense illusion of the guardian Luo Qianshue inviting him to battle, Yi Chun, fearless, replied to the exquisite woman with a smile. Why would I not? Luo, make your move. Good. Seeing that Yi Chun was unafraid to fight, the exquisite woman nodded with a smile. Then, she flapped the snow-white wings behind her, and in an instant, she flew into the blood-red sky of the vast space of the 15th level. Subsequently, the woman's body suddenly gave rise to a colossal true Qi flame over 80 meters tall. With such grandeur, she seemed no less than a powerful expert of the Spirit Sea realm, let alone a true Qi realm figure. Her true Qi was terrifyingly powerful, and with wings that could fly, she had many of the capabilities of the Spirit Sea realm, even though she had not yet stepped into it. Seeing the woman take to the sky, Yi Chun reached out his hands towards the void. From within him, an overwhelming surge of silver true Qi burst forth. This silver true Qi was none other than the Gang Yuan true Qi, which is countless times stronger than heaven and earth true Qi. In the ancient God Tower, utilizing the time flow rate to bitterly cultivate Gang Yuan true Qi, Yi Chun had come infinitely close to great accomplishment in it. Although he only had 9 true Qi vortexes, all 8 of them were now Gang Yuan true Qi. The power of his Gang Yuan true Qi had long been capable of overpowering experts in the 12th layer of true Qi, and he faced off against Spirit Sea realm experts without any fear. Boom! In an instant, the silver Gang Yuan true Qi around Yi Chun shot upward, reaching over 30 meters high. Although it was not as vast as Luo Qianshue's, the moment Luo Qianshue saw Yi Chen's silver Gang Yuan true Qi, her eyes lit up. Clearly, the extremely powerful Luo Qianshue recognized the extraordinariness of the true Qi around Yi Chen's body. As the Gang Yuan true Qi around Yi Chen surged, he activated the cultivation technique for Wind Thunder Wings, and immediately behind him formed 2 giant wings, each over 10 meters in length. These 2 wings, silver and white in color, were phantom-like and wondrously divine. They were even flickering with thunder and filled with the sound of howling winds. Unmistakably, the Wind Thunder Wings cultivated from Yi Chen's superior mystic-grade movement technique, Wind Thunder Movement. Boom! The moment the Wind Thunder Wings materialized, with a thought from Yi Chun, he flapped the phantom-like massive wings behind him and flew directly into the void, facing the breathtakingly beautiful Luo Qianshue head-on. Both individuals were from the true Qi realm, one a divine sense illusion naturally born with wings due to her clan's heritage, and the other a 15-year-old boy who, lacking wings, used cultivation techniques to fly into the sky. Both could be called unparalleled geniuses within the true Qi realm, both already possessing the strength to challenge Spirit Sea realm experts. And like this, they faced each other head-on in the sky of the 15th level space within the ancient God Tower. The battle was imminent. Chapter 126, Sky Battle. The Clash of Supreme Geniuses. A battle no less inferior to that at the Spirit Sea realm. Yi Chun, who has fought his way up to the 15th layer of the ancient God Tower, can he overcome Luo Qianshue, the unbeatable expert of the true Qi realm from the Flying Spirit clan that countless geniuses from the Jindi ancient clan failed to defeat? Outside the ancient God Tower, the spirit of the sacred artifact looked at Yi Chun and Luo Qianshue facing each other in the sky, feeling an inexplicable tension rising in its heart. And the golden monkey, seeing the illusion-like genuine wings behind Yi Chun floating in the sky, its glistening eyes like black jewels started to whirl about. With a swishing sound, the golden monkey leaped into the air and astonishingly soared hundreds of feet high. At the same time, an endless surge of golden light erupted from its body, as if it was also executing a cultivation technique, and in an instant, massive wings took shape around the monkey. However, the moment the wings were formed, they suddenly shattered and turned back into strands of golden light. Iya! The golden monkey looked at the disintegrated winged light with a dejected expression on its little face. It glared at the golden light, then with a spin, drew the light back into its body and leaped onto the giant hand of the spirit of the sacred artifact. Without the spell of the winged cultivation technique, you can mimic the form but not the essence. Yi Chen's technique can't be deduced from mere movements. The spirit of the sacred artifact, watching the monkey's antics, laughed heartily. Distracted by the little monkey, it felt a rare relaxation from the tension of watching the battle. Meanwhile, inside the 15th layer of the ancient god tower, the face-off between Yi Chen and Luo Qianxue had finally begun. The first to strike was the layer's guardian, Luo Qianxue. Luo Qianxue, the exquisitely beautiful woman with snow-white wings on her back, twirled her slender waist and fanned her wings, instantly cutting through the void and rushing towards Yi Chen. At the same time, the enormous true qi flame, over 80 meters tall that surrounded her, instantly transformed into countless dancing giant fire serpents, madly biting their way toward Yi Chen. Luo Qianxue was frighteningly fast. The huge fire serpents she conjured, each over 30 meters long, carried a terrifying killing force of true qi. Their mere undulation caused the blood-red fiery clouds in the surrounding void to roar and tumble. Boom! Luo Qianxue, with the dancing fire serpents, was upon Yi Chen in an instant, and countless giant serpents overwhelmed and submerged him in the blink of an eye. As Luo Qianxue made her move, Yi Chen, standing in the void, suddenly clenched the air with his palm. Swoosh! 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 Immediately, countless wind blade swords formed out of thin air around Yi Chen. In an instant, a violent wind rose, and amidst the roaring dance of the fire serpents, Yi Chen charged forward with countless wind blade swords into the midst of the serpents. Fire serpents danced wildly. Wind blades raged. The killing moves of both clashed instantly, and the entire sky around Yi Chen and Luo Qianxue became a raging sea of true qi. The battle in the sky. Amidst the endless explosion of true qi, one could only see the 30-meter-long giant fire serpents tumbling wildly, and the infinite wind blade swords striking furiously. When the true qi storm reached its most violent, amidst the frantic collisions of the giant fire serpents and the wind blade swords, Yi Chen's figure suddenly vanished from the field. Swoosh! The next moment, silver wind lightning wings suddenly appeared, and Yi Chen reappeared behind Luo Qianxue. At the same time, he pointed in the air, and once more, countless wind blade swords took form, immediately counterattacking towards Luo Qianxue. While withstanding Luo Qianxue's attack, Yi Chen also launched his counterattack. Your speed is actually not slower than mine. You're worth my full attention. Luo Qianxue seemed to have been expecting Yi Chen's sudden counterattack. As his attack approached, she turned around to face Yi Chen once again. At the same time, Luo Qianxue's snowy white palm struck out fiercely, and a huge spinning ring of fire, over 20 meters in diameter, surged towards the myriad wind blade swords. Bang! 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 The giant spinning ring of fire swept up all the wind blade swords in the sky, and in an instant, the spinning fire wheel and the myriad swords clashed and shattered together, eventually exploding and vanishing in a loud roar. Seeing Luo Qianxue's swift response and her equally formidable moves, Yi Chen's gaze sharpened. His wind lightning wings abruptly spread and he propelled himself towards the high skies. Luo Qianxue, seeing Yi Chen's actions, also fanned her snow-white wings and shot upwards. Both ascended hundreds of feet high at the same time. The initial exchange was merely a test of each other's abilities, a preface before the true life and death-killing moves were unleashed. Come at me, trialist. See if you can withstand the fiery cloud-killing formation that has eliminated countless trialists. In the sky, Luo Qianxue, with her snow-white wings gently flapping, spoke clearly. Just as her voice fell, her slender fingers suddenly pinched a spell. Instantaneously, numerous figures shimmered into existence around her. These figures, upon materializing, surrounded Yi Chen, trapping him completely. Yi Chen instantly felt a force within the surrounding void beginning to erupt. Just as he intended to use his movement technique to escape the encirclement, those boundless encompassing figures around him suddenly drew upon the countless blood-red fiery clouds in the sky. Chapter 127. In an instant, the sky around Yichun was completely engulfed by the blood-red fiery clouds. Then, a terrifying blaze that swept across 100 yards began to rage wildly within the blood-red fiery clouds. Yichun was now completely trapped within the endlessly burning fiery clouds that spanned hundreds of yards. The burning clouds were so intense that even the void seemed to twist and distort. Before the fiery clouds reached Yichun, he felt the protective Gang Yuan true qi surrounding his body become unbearably hot. Fiery Cloud Killing Formation. This was the dreadful formation that Luo Qianxue had mastered after comprehending the flame cloud ambience. A formation so terrifying that it could even burn the true qi spiritual fluid of early-stage realm of true qi warriors. The myriad fiery clouds were burning. This wasn't about tempering the body. It was completely aimed at burning away all of Yi Chen's protective true qi. Did Yi Chen simply let Luo Qianxue have her way? Would he just passively accept the attack? Just as the myriad fiery clouds formed the killing formation and crazily burned towards Yi Chen, within the fiery cloud killing formation that spanned hundreds of yards, the 8 silver Gang Yuan true qi whirlpools within his body began to vibrate wildly. In a split second, an immense amount of Gang Yuan true qi surged skyward, and this time, the Gang Yuan true qi around Yi Chen even shot up over 80 meters high. The Gang Yuan true qi shone with endless silver brilliance, and in a flash, the entire area of the fiery cloud killing formation was enveloped in silver radiance. Wind Sword Intent. Sword Intent of Thunder. Wind Thunder combined strike sword skills. Manifest. After the entire fiery cloud killing formation was covered with silver light, the 2 powerful sword intents that Yi Chen controlled suddenly enveloped the swathes of silver Gang Yuan true qi. In an instant, all the Gang Yuan true qi within 100 yards of the fiery cloud killing formation turned violent, and the entire formation was swept up in a maelstrom, rolling up billowing silver thunders. Where the storms went, where the thunder struck, the myriad Gang Yuan true qi was like a terrifying storm of thunderclouds, a powerful tempest. As all the Gang Yuan true qi within the entire fiery cloud killing formation was infused with the wind and thunder sword intent, this large expanse of Gang Yuan true qi suddenly trembled, followed by endless sword shadows bursting out from it. This was the Wind Thunder combined strike sword skills, activated by manipulating Gang Yuan true qi with sword intents. Once the Wind Thunder combined strike sword skills was formed, it directly slashed towards the boundless burning fiery clouds. Containing the terrifying power of the 2 sword intents, Wind Sword Intent and Sword Intent of Thunder, derived from the superior Shen-level techniques. This attack horrifically exterminated the vast expanse of fiery clouds upon collision. The fiery cloud killing formation, which had eliminated countless challengers, could not eliminate Yi Chen. Instead, he penetrated it with a single strike. The entire formation was instantly riddled with countless gaping holes, and Yi Chen, who had been completely submerged by the fiery cloud killing formation, appeared once again. Simultaneously, the Wind Thunder combined strike sword skills that had exterminated the vast fiery clouds continued unabated, launching endless sword shadows that instantly hurtled towards Luo Qianxue in the void. Yi Chen had not only withstood the attack of the fiery cloud killing formation, but had also launched a powerful counterattack. He withstood it. The fiery cloud killing formation that brought countless Jindi ancient clan geniuses to their downfall. Yi Chen withstood it as well. Perhaps, Yi Chen truly can make it through the 15th floor. Seeing Yi Chen's formidable attack that combined the 2 great sword intents with Gang Yuan true qi, thoroughly piercing through Luo Qianxue's fiery cloud killing formation, even the spirit of the sacred artifact outside the ancient god tower couldn't help but cry out in surprise. If Yi Chen could make it through the 15th floor, it would be the first time it got to see what the 16th floor of the ancient god tower looked like after being activated. Not only did the spirit of the sacred artifact cry out with astonishment, but even the golden monkey became excited and started to chatter incessantly upon seeing Yi Chen's astonishing attack. In the skies of the 15th floor of the ancient god tower, when Luo Qianxue saw Yi Chen emerge through the fiery cloud killing formation and noticed the endless sword shadows shooting towards her, even her usually imperturbable beautiful face showed a hint of surprise. Sword Intense. To think it's the astonishingly powerful combined force of two sword intents. Luo Qianxue looked at Yi Chun, observing the surging silver gang yuan true qi around his body. Challenger. For someone of your age, achieving mastery over two formidable sword intents within the realm of true qi, and possessing such terrifying true qi, you really are remarkable. Your strength is indeed that of a peerless powerhouse within the true qi realm. No wonder you've reached the 15th floor with such ease. If you can withstand my next strongest attack, then I admit you are stronger than me, and you may proceed to the 16th floor. As Luo Qianxue's clear voice resonated, the snow-white wings on her back suddenly began to enlarge rapidly. In the blink of an eye, the snow-white wings, which were originally only the size of Luo Qianxue's physical form, expanded dozens of times over, covering the entire sky as if it was engulfed by these wings. Even Luo Qianxue appeared extraordinarily small within the embrace of these wings. A moment later, with a sweep of these wings, they carried Luo Qianxue and a boundless blaze of light, charging directly towards Yi Chun. The sword shadows that were originally streaking towards Luo Qianxue were scattered and separated by the strike of the wings, and in an instant, the wings had thrust right in front of Yi Chun. As the overwhelming wings surged forward, Yi Chun's expression turned serious. He formed a hand gesture, and in that instant, for different types of silver light burst forth from around him. Silver wind blades, silver storm rain, silver thunder, silver lightning. This was none other than the four potent sword intents that Yi Chun could channel with his Gang Yuan True Qi. Wind sword intent, storm rain sword intent of thunder, and purple lightning sword intent. In the end, the wind, rain, thunder, lightning, for sword intents converged within the Gang Yuan True Qi, eventually forming a massive sword shadow infused with endless slaughter power. It was a colossal sword shadow exceeding 80 meters in length. The sword shadow bore no visible form of wind, rain, thunder, or lightning, yet it encapsulated a killing power far surpassing that of the four elements. The colossal sword shadow cleaved directly at Luo Qianxue's most powerful attack, the startling wings that were swooping in. Boom! It was as if it shattered the very void itself. The strike caused the sky to seem as though it was fracturing. Under the slash of the sword shadow, the astonishing wings were cut into two pieces, and even when the residual force of the sword shadow hit the ground, it carved out an immense ravine hundreds of meters long. This sword intent, imbued with an indescribable killing force, was terrifyingly powerful. As the wings were severed into two parts, Yi Chun felt the wings slowly begin to dissipate. He just managed to hear Luo Qianxue's exclamation, "Slaughter sword intent. This has actually transcended the fundamental sword intent and reached a deeper level of slaughter sword intent." Slaughter sword intent? Before Yi Chun could fully comprehend, he saw all the light from the wings, along with Luo Qianxue within them, vanish completely. Only an ancient-looking teleportation token fell down. This token was the key to entering the 16th floor of the ancient God Tower. Chapter 128 Barbarian Thunder. The appearance of the teleportation token signified that Yi Chun had obtained the qualifications to enter the 16th level of the ancient God Tower. Since the ancient God Tower fell into the hands of Heavenly Saint Dekong, Yi Chun was the first in over 1,000 years, between the Jindi ancient clan and the ancestral land secret realm, to break into the 16th level of the ancient God Tower. Whoosh! In the void, Yi Chun's hand formed a vacuum and reached for the token. The teleportation token, which fell after Luo Qianxue dissipated, shot through the air from dozens of meters away and flew straight towards Yi Chun, finally landing directly in his hand. The 16th level teleportation token. After gripping the token tightly, Yi Chun spread the silvery wind and thunder wings behind him and floated back to the ground. Whoosh! With a thought, the silvery wind and thunder wings formed from Gang Yuan True Qi disappeared without a trace. Yi Chun sat down on the ground. Having killed Luo Qianxue's phantasmal presence and obtained the teleportation token, Yi Chun could now cultivate on the 15th floor for 30 days before directly entering the 16th level of the ancient God Tower. Slaughter sword intent? Yi Chun, who sat down cross-legged, was reflecting on the gains and losses from the battle with Luo Qianxue. The extremely fast flight speed of the wings that sprouted from Luo Qianxue's back, her fiery cloud formation, and the astounding change of her wings that increased in strength by dozens of times, all exposed Yichun to new methods of combat. And Luo Qianxue's last words about slaughter sword intent sparked even more thoughts in Yichun. The slaughter sword intent, this surpasses the fundamental sword intent, reaching a deeper level of slaughter sword intent. Luo Qianxue's cry of astonishment still echoed in Yichun's ears. Could it be that after I complete the wind and thunder sword intent, and attempt to merge the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning for sword intents, the newly formed sword intent is called slaughter sword intent? Yichun thought. The massive sword shadow that Yichun used to slay Luo Qianxue's phantasmal presence contained the terrifying power of slaughter, resulting from his arduous practice in the past year, becoming an incredibly powerful ace up his sleeve. Once Yichun had mastered the sword intent of thunder, as he practiced the wind-thunder combined strike sword skills, he attempted to merge the wind sword intent with the sword intent of thunder, and indeed, the resulting power was astonishingly powerful. At that time, Yichun wondered if he could also blend the other two sword intents he had mastered, the storm rain sword intent and the purple lightning sword intent, into the wind and thunder sword intent. To his surprise, after merging the wind and thunder sword intent, it could also blend with the storm rain sword intent and the purple lightning sword intent, immediately elevating the power of Yichun's sword intent to a new level. Suddenly, a new type of sword intent emerged, one imbued with the murderous intent of wind, the lethal force of rain, the deadly power of thunder, and the destructive energy of lightning. A completely new sword intent infused with endless power of slaughter. Yichun never imagined that sword intents could merge and give rise to even more powerful sword intents. This discovery thrilled him beyond measure. Faced with Luo Qianxue's strongest attack, the shocking wing strike, he directly infused the stronger, fused sword intent into his Gang Yuan True Qi, forming a massive sword shadow, and struck directly at Luo Qianxue. Unexpectedly, this sword intent truly had a miraculous effect, possessing a mighty power that vanquished Luo Qianxue on the spot. Now, the words, slaughter sword intent, cried out by Luo Qianxue provided Yichun with the name for this more powerful sword intent. Sword intent, the highest realm of sword cultivation, mysterious beyond compare. Back in Qingyun sect, where I trained, hardly anyone could cultivate to the level of sword intent, so my knowledge of sword intent is extremely limited. Who would have thought that sword intent could blend in such a wondrous way? Slaughter sword intent. This name indeed matches the lethal power of my sword intent. Luo Qianxue, coming from the Flying Spirit clan, is an invincible expert of the true Qi realm and certainly has extraordinary insights. She said that slaughter sword intent surpasses the fundamental sword intent, which means that the wind sword intent, storm rain sword intent of thunder, and purple lightning sword intent I cultivated earlier are all fundamental sword intents. Wind, rain, thunder, lightning. They are indeed the fundamental forms of natural elements. Perhaps once I manage to reach the top 3 in the selection for true disciples of Taishan sect, and join this 6th-ranked great sect, I will be able to learn more about sword intents. Yichun felt that he still had much to learn about sword intents, but although his knowledge was limited, the fighting capability of his current sword intents, which even allowed him to slay the invincible true Qi realm expert Luo Qianxue, was what truly mattered. If he didn't understand now, he could always learn more in the future. Without dwelling any further on sword intents, and with 30 days left to cultivate before facing the even more formidable guardians of the 16th level of the ancient God Tower, Yichun resumed his rigorous training of various techniques. Outside the ancient God Tower, when the spirit of the sacred artifact saw Yichun slay the phantasmal presence of Luo Qianxue and successfully obtain the teleportation token to the 16th level, it began to shout excitedly. He's succeeded! Yichun has successfully broken into the 16th level of the ancient God Tower. The spirit of the sacred artifact couldn't help but be overjoyed, as this was the first time someone had managed to break into the 16th level of the ancient God Tower in more than 1,000 years since Heavenly Saint Dekong acquired it. Even Heavenly Saint Dekong had never seen the 16th level of the ancient God Tower activated. In another 3 days, the equivalent of 30 days within the tower, it would finally witness it. The spirit of the sacred artifact was of course incredibly excited. While the spirit of the sacred artifact was overjoyed, the golden monkey who had been watching the fierce battle between Yi-chan and Luo Chenxue was even more ecstatic and inexplicable. This palm-sized, golden-furred monkey, shimmering with divine and colorful light, although it could not speak, was extremely lively. When the spirit of the sacred artifact mentioned that Yi-chan would take it out of this secret realm, the little monkey became exceedingly curious about Yi-chan, paying him great attention. Seeing Yi-chan so powerful, not only able to transform into marvelous flying wings, but also possessing unparalleled combat strength and an awe-inspiring fighting spirit, the little monkey liked Yi-chan even more. Yeah. When Yi-chan's gigantic sword shadow shattered Luo Chenxue's amazing wings and won the battle, the golden monkey couldn't help but call out excitedly. 3 days quickly passed by. While the spirit of the sacred artifact and the golden monkey were still not over their excitement, Yi-chan, who had been cultivating for another 30 days in the ancient god tower, was finally teleported to the 16th floor. The 16th floor was the last of the final 3 layers of the 18-layer ancient god tower. The trials Yi-chan faced in the ancient god tower, as well as the tower's magical flow of time, were down to the last 3 levels. After Yi-chan was teleported to the 16th floor, both the spirit of the sacred artifact and the golden monkey outside the tower, and Yi-chan inside the tower all looked towards the 16th floor of the ancient god tower simultaneously. The space of this 16th floor was even vast and wide, like a real world. However, unlike the blood-red fire clouds and blood-red plants everywhere on the 15th floor, the world of the 16th floor of the ancient god tower was a yellowish-brown plain, with even the sky being a shade of yellowish-brown. At that moment, a burly figure was sitting cross-legged not far from Yi-chan's teleportation spot, and as soon as Yi-chan entered the 16th floor, this figure immediately opened his eyes. Is this the guardian protector of the 16th floor? Yi-chan sized up the figure. Just sitting cross-legged, he was 7 or 8 meters tall. Like a small mountain, he was bare-chested, revealing groups of muscles as solid as dragon coils, obviously containing incredible power within. More mystically, his flesh was marked with strange patterns that occasionally glowed with light. Huge in size, immense in strength, and a mysterious race. All these were Yi-chan's first impressions of this figure on the 16th floor. As Yi-chan was examining the figure stood up, towering over 16 meters, several times taller than Yi-chan. The moment he stood up, his huge size became even more apparent, with explosive power hidden under the mystical flesh. Trialist, I didn't expect you to even defeat Luo Chenxue. Your sword intents surprised me. The towering figure spoke to Yi-chan, his voice booming like thunder. Senior, you know about the battle between me and Senior Luo Chenxue? Yi-chan asked in surprise upon hearing the towering figure's words. He had never heard the guardian protectors of lower floors mention the events of previous floors in his journey through the ancient god tower before. Now, this towering figure speaking about Yi-chan's sword intents clearly knew about Yi-chan's battle with Luo Chenxue. The towering figure laughed loudly. Trialist, I am Barbarian Thunder, the guardian protector of the 16th floor, and like Luo Chenxue, I was one of the unparalleled talents favored by the master of the ancient god tower during the True Qi realm competition. I am an invincible master of the True Qi realm from the Barbarian Blood Clan. We, the defenders of the last 4 floors, managed to leave our spiritual illusions within this ancient god tower, of course, different from other puppet protectors. Not only can I see your trials on the 15th floor, but the guardians on the 17th floor above can also see our battle soon. An invincible master of the True Qi realm from the Barbarian Blood Clan. Yi-chan remembered what Luo Chenxue had told him. Luo Chenxue mentioned that the original master of the ancient god tower had invited mighty warriors from all races and held a huge competition in the True Qi realm. From billions of True Qi cultivators, they selected 4 of the strongest in the True Qi realm to leave their spiritual illusions and guard the last 4 floors of the ancient god tower. Luo Chenxue was an invincible master of the True Qi realm from the Flying Spirit Clan. Guarding the 15th floor, this Barbarian Thunder, stronger than Luo Qianxue, guarded the 16th floor, and was an invincible master of the true Qi realm from the barbarian blood clan. Although Yi Chun did not know what the barbarian blood clan was, the fact that barbarian thunder was stronger than Luo Qianxue showed his extraordinariness. Now, having witnessed the battle between Yi Chun and Luo Qianxue, and already aware of Yi Chen's sword intense as a trump card, barbarian thunder was likely to be even more difficult to handle. Yi Chun, looking at barbarian thunder, who was as sturdy as a small hill, grew solemn as well. Noticing Yi Chen's grave expression, barbarian thunder laughed heartily. "Come on, trialist, let's not waste time. The fact that you've made it to the 16th floor already proves your strength. I too want to spar with you, to see who among us is stronger. Bring out all your skills. Just sword intense alone, I'm afraid, won't be enough to deal with me." Boom! As barbarian thunder spoke, his massive feet stomped down forcefully, and he instantly shot towards Yi Chun. Chapter 129. 9 Transformation Fighting Body. Barbarian thunder was massive, but his speed was not slow at all. In fact, not inferior to Luo Qianxue with her double wings on her back. Whoosh! Just as barbarian thunder came blasting over, silver wind thunder wings suddenly appeared behind Yi Chun, and with a flap of the wings, he soared into the sky. At the same time, Yi Chen's hand formed a claw in the air, and in an instant, swords of wind blades began to float around his body. Looking at Yi Chun, who had flown to the sky, and the swords of wind blades all around his body, barbarian thunder cracked a loud laugh, stamped his feet fiercely on the ground, and unexpectedly leaped dozens of meters high, charging directly towards Yi Chun in the sky. He was not at all afraid of the swords of wind blades controlled by the wind sword intent around Yi Chen's body. Swords of wind blades, storm fury slash. Watching barbarian thunder charging at him, Yi Chun pointed downwards, and the myriad swords of wind blades around his body instantly formed a sword storm that devoured everything, sweeping towards barbarian thunder. Facing this astonishing sword storm, barbarian thunder did not dodge. The strange patterns on his skin burst forth with a bright light. Within the glow, barbarian thunder's body charged straight into the sword storm that filled the sky. Boom! His charge scattered the entire sword storm. With Yi Chen's current strength, controlling the swords of wind blades, he could easily kill a peak practitioner of the true Qi realm within seconds. Yet barbarian thunder was able to withstand the sword storm with his mere physical body. What kind of body was this, with such an incredible defense? This completely shocked Yi Chun. "I told you before, mere sword intents are not enough to deal with me." While Yi Chun was still in shock, barbarian thunder had already passed through the sword storm, charging dozens of meters high, coming directly in front of him. His huge palm lashed out fiercely to grab Yi Chun, aiming to catch him in his hand. Boom! The sound alone from his palm moving through the air caused it to explode, indicating the immense power behind his grip. How could Yi Chun let barbarian thunder catch him? As barbarian thunder reached out to grab him, the wind thunder wings behind Yi Chun spread out, dodging barbarian thunder's terrifying grasp, and at the same time, Yi Chun exploded upwards another 30-some meters. This grab, having missed Yi Chun, resulted in barbarian thunder smashing back towards the earth with a boom, shattering the brown earth and creating deep and massive ravines. As soon as barbarian thunder landed on the ground, he fixated on Yi Chen's new location. With a stomp of his foot, he charged once again toward Yi Chun in the sky. The physical defense is astonishing, and so are the speed and strength. The invincible true Qi realm master of the barbarian blood clan is truly formidable. Watching barbarian thunder, who resembled a fierce beast, Yi Chen's mind stirred, and once again a large swath of true Qi swords appeared around him. The previous swords of wind blades did not break barbarian thunder's physical defenses. Yi Chun then stimulated an even more powerful sword intent, the sword intent of thunder. Controlling a more powerful true Qi sword, he formed a large swath of silver thunder swords. The moment these silver thunder swords formed, the sound of thunder could even be heard from their blades. Thunder sword skills. Heavenly Thunder Strike. As the silver thunder swords appeared, Yi Chun instantly controlled them, bombarding the charging barbarian thunder from above. Boom! Immediately, barbarian thunder got completely submerged in the swath of thunder swords. However, a few breaths later, from within the thunder swords, the sound of barbarian thunder's laughter emerged once again. The sword intents of an earth-rank cultivation technique cannot break my barbarian blood Shen body. Trialist, show me your most powerful move. In the midst of barbarian thunder's laughter, he emerged and scathed once more from amidst the thunder swords, charging out. It seems, I need to try the slaughter sword intent that killed Jean D's shadow. Seeing that 2 attacks had failed to break barbarian thunder's physical defense, Yi Chun spared no effort, reaching into the void with his fingers, and suddenly an endless aura of wind, rain, thunder, and slaughter began to spread from the thunder swords. In an instant, the myriad thunder swords formed into a colossal sword shadow, and with a downward slash, it went straight for the charging barbarian thunder. It was this slash that killed the divine consciousness phantom of Luo Qianxue. But just as this sword shadow, at an inconceivable speed, was about to hit barbarian thunder's head, barbarian thunder, who was charging towards the sky, vanished from his original position in an instant. Boom! The slash did not hit barbarian thunder and instead struck the earth, creating a massive sword trench over 100 meters long and 7 to 8 meters wide on the ground. As the sword shadow dissipated, with a boom, barbarian thunder landed next to the sword trench. Looking at the astonishing trench in the earth, barbarian thunder's eyes gleamed with excitement. Powerful. The slaughter sword intent is really powerful. If this slash had hit me, I fear my barbarian blood Shen body might have really been broken. Saying this, barbarian thunder raised his head and looked towards Yi Chun in the sky. Trialist, do you have any other moves? Though your sword of slaughter is powerful with my speed, without taking it head-on, you'll still not be able to hit me. Your winged flight makes it hard for me to catch you, and your speed, you will also find it hard to kill me. If this continues, even if the 30 days of this layer pass, you still won't be able to kill me, and you won't break through to the next level. If you have no other tricks up your sleeve, then there's no need to fight me. Spend these last 30 days cultivating on the 16th floor and treasure this last opportunity to train. In the sky, Yi Chun and Barbarian Thunder on the ground were indeed locked in a stalemate. With the techniques they had revealed, neither could suppress the other. The spirit of the sacred artifact and the golden monkey outside the ancient god tower were getting anxious as they watched the situation inside. Could it be that Yi Chun will really be stopped here on the 16th floor? No. Yi Chun should still have other techniques. As this thought flashed through the mind of the spirit of the sacred artifact, Yi Chun, in the void, looked at Barbarian Thunder and finally made a new move. Other techniques? Of course, I have them. Yi Chun, having trained hard in the ancient god tower for over a year, naturally had more than just his sword intents. Senior, your Barbarian Blood Shen body has extremely strong defensive power. So now try out my 9 transformation fighting body as well. Boom! As Yi Chun spoke, he stretched out his hand and his body suddenly burst forth with endless golden light. Within this endless golden light, a gigantic golden monkey phantom, over 30 meters long, formed around Yi Chen's body. At the same time, Yi Chen's aura continued to climb. Even tens of meters away, Barbarian Thunder could feel Yi Chen's power increasing dramatically. 9 transformation fighting body? What cultivation technique is that? Barbarian Thunder, watching Yi Chen's aura rise in the void and seeing the colossal golden monkey phantom around Yi Chen's body, became serious. He realized that Yi Chen was using a new powerful technique. When the spirit of the sacred artifact outside the tower saw the huge golden monkey phantom around Yi Chen, it cried out in surprise, "The bone pattern secret transmission, the 30-meter Jean D's shadow." Yi Chen. He actually managed to cultivate the bone pattern secret transmission to this extent without anyone noticing. The technique Yi Chen was using now, the 9 transformation fighting body, was exactly the powerful cultivation technique hidden within the golden monkey spiritual patterns in his bones that he had tempered to the 4th layer in the ancient furnace of creation. The 9 transformation fighting body, divided into 9 transformations, according to the bone pattern secret transmission. Reaching the first 3 transformations was enough to possess the combat power of the Spirit Sea Realm. Cultivating the first 6 transformations could rival the might of the rotating Pill Realm powerhouses, and completing all 9 transformations could increase strength to the formidable level of the Heavenly Saint Realm, even capable of forming a colossal golden monkey spiritual phantom over 1,000 meters tall. Yi Chun had trained relentlessly for countless days, and had also comprehended the heavenly talent intent diagram of Dekong, exchanged from the myriad treasure steel, using the 18 powerful intents awakened during the Spirit Sea Realm stage of Dekong to aid his cultivation of the 9 transformation fighting body. Now, he had finally cultivated this set of the bone pattern secret transmission 9 transformation fighting body to the second transformation, gaining another astonishing combat method. Facing Barbarian Thunder, whom he had been unable to kill, Yi Chun decided to use this newly cultivated powerful technique. Boom! When Yi Chen's aura reached its peak in the sky, the thousands of golden monkey spiritual patterns on his bones also suddenly erupted with boundless strength. Amidst this force, Yi Chun spread his wind thunder wings and, along with the giant golden monkey phantom around him, charged directly towards Barbarian Thunder on the ground. Such astonishing power! Since you've brought out a new technique, let's see whose strength is greater. Excited by Yi Chen's new move, Barbarian Thunder's fighting spirit surged. He stomped fiercely on the ground, and his entire body also charged toward Yi Chun, who was diving down from the sky. This was clearly a head-to-head confrontation, a true test of strength between the two. Boom! In an instant, Yi Chun and Barbarian Thunder collided mid-air, their tremendous forces clashing directly against each other. In this clash, Barbarian Thunder of the Barbarian Blood Clan, an unbeatable master of the true Qi realm, was sent crashing down toward the earth by Yi Chen's impact, ultimately creating a huge crater 100 meters in diameter in the ground. Yi Chun, after being repelled dozens of meters backward by the incredible force, turned his wind thunder wings and charged again toward Barbarian Thunder in the crater. Yi Chun actually got the upper hand in the clash of strength with Barbarian Thunder. The successful cultivation of the second transformation of the 9 transformation fighting body allowed him to overpower the vastly strong Barbarian Thunder. Boom! After Barbarian Thunder was struck by Yi Chun, his internal energy churned tumultuously. He was preparing to rise from the crater when he saw Yi Chun charging towards him again, and amidst a flickering golden light, Yi Chun grabbed him. Bound by countless streams of true Qi, Barbarian Thunder was directly hoisted up by Yi Chun. Then, with a swing of his hand, Yi Chun sent the 16 or 17-meter-tall Barbarian Thunder hurtling into the sky before unleashing a surge of power from his hand, violently slamming Barbarian Thunder back down onto the earth. Compared to Barbarian Thunder's massive form, Yi Chun was much smaller. Yet, with the aid of the 9 transformation fighting body, and the astonishing colossal strength from the golden monkey patterns in his bones, he could physically swing and smash the much larger Barbarian Thunder with his bare hands. This scene was shockingly intense. The spirit of the sacred artifact and the golden monkey outside the ancient god tower were completely dumbfounded by Yi Chun, who looked more like a humanoid beast than Barbarian Thunder. They could feel that Yi Chen's cultivation of the 9 transformation fighting body had made his physical strength so great that he could easily smash a small mountain with a single punch. Aside from his sword intents, Yi Chun had also elevated his physical strength to such an unimaginable degree. Powerful! Your 9 transformation fighting body is indeed powerful. It seems that I must really see who is stronger in terms of strength. Barbarian Thunder, without waiting for Yi Chun to grab him again or for another fall into the crater, had blood lights suddenly erupting from the patterns on his skin. In this endless blood light, his strength also began to grow wildly. Even on his head, 2 shocking horns suddenly sprouted. After Yi Chun revealed his new technique, Barbarian Thunder of the Barbarian Blood Clan, an invincible master of the true Qi realm, was also forced by Yi Chun to use his own powerful method. Chapter 130. 18 Levels. Boom! Amidst the endless bloodlight bursting from the patterns on his flesh, Barbarian Thunder, now with two pointed horns protruding from his head, shot out directly from the crater created by the smash. As he burst out, he brought with him a whirlwind, charging straight towards Yichun. Illuminated by the bloodlight, Barbarian Thunder's speed and strength both underwent a new transformation, and with this charge, he seemed like a giant mountain, sweeping away everything in his path. "Come on, let's have a real contest." Yichun stomped his foot hard on the ground, shaking the entire earth, and the myriad golden monkey spirit patterns within the bones of his body simultaneously burst out with endless light, enveloping Yichun in a golden halo. Simultaneously, Yichun's divine sense stirred again, and the Gang Yuan True Qi occupying 8.5 of the 9 true Qi vortices in his Qi Sea emitted a blinding silver light. In an instant, the Gang Yuan True Qi was injected into the power of Yichun's physical body. Enshrouded in the light of the golden monkey spirit patterns and the silver light of Gang Yuan True Qi, the colossal golden monkey phantom outside Yichun's body roared up to the heavens. Boom! Watching Barbarian Thunder charging at him, Yichun pushed off with his feet, and his whole body hurtled directly towards Barbarian Thunder. The 16th or 7th meter tall, bloodlight-trapped Barbarian Thunder with horns on his head collided wildly with Yichun, who was shrouded in golden and silver light with the giant golden monkey phantom swirling around his body. This was a direct collision of strength. It was another clash of power after both opponents had advanced their combat power. At the point of collision between the two, a heaven-shaking explosion erupted, the sound of the air itself being blown apart by the two's force. In the midst of this explosion, the two of them who had collided head-on were both blown back dozens of meters. Then, almost simultaneously, they charged at each other again. In this new collision, their strength somehow took another leap forward. Boom! 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 Barbarian Thunder no longer relied on speed to dodge, and Yichun did not resort to using his sword intense. Instead, they were determined to measure strength against strength in their respective battle body martial skills. They began a fierce contest of strength. Barbarian Blood Shen Body versus 9 Transformation Fighting Body. Eventually, Barbarian Thunder turned completely blood red, the strange patterns on his flesh making him look like a man drenched in blood. Barbarian Blood Shen Body. This was indeed the sign of the complete eruption of the Barbarian Blood Shen Body. As for Yichun, in the final moments, the more than 30 meters high giant golden monkey phantom outside his body fully merged into him, combining with his physical strength. Yichun himself had truly reached the most formidable state of the second transformation of the 9 transformation fighting body. Strongest against strongest. In the final clash of strength, amidst the thunderous sound of their savage collision, Barbarian Thunder, the 16th floor guardian, was sent flying by Yichun's strike, hundreds of meters away, spewing out a mouthful of blood. As for Yichun, he merely took 5 steps back and stood firm, immovable. In this last impact, Yichun once again completely overpowered Barbarian Thunder in terms of strength. The first 3 transformations of the 9 transformation fighting body correspond to the combat power of the Spirit Sea realm. Having cultivated to the strongest state of the second transformation, Yichun now possessed the immense combat power akin to that of a mid-stage Spirit Sea realm expert. And with the unparalleled Gang Yuan True Qi further reinforcing him, his strength from the 9 transformation fighting body was doubled. No matter how fierce Barbarian Thunder was, even as an invincible true Qi realm master of the Barbarian Blood Clan, he fell short in the contest of strength. Phew! Barbarian Thunder, spewing out a large mouthful of blood, wiped the bloodstains from the corner of his mouth and stood up. Strength, Trialist, you have completely overpowered me in my strongest aspect. You have passed the 16th layer. As Barbarian Thunder spoke, his entire body emitted a brownish-yellow light, and then he vanished from the world, leaving behind only a teleportation token to the 17th floor. Barbarian Thunder, having been overpowered, directly admitted defeat. After defeating Luo Qianxue, an invincible true Qi realm master of the Flying Spirit Clan, Yichun once again triumphed over another invincible true Qi realm master, Barbarian thunder from the Barbarian blood clan. Swoosh! Yichun looked at the spot where Barbarian thunder disappeared, stretched out his hand, and captured the dropped teleportation token. This Barbarian thunder is indeed powerful. If I had not successfully cultivated the second transformation of the 9 transformation fighting body, and had the Gang Yuan True Qi injected into me, I might have really not been able to beat him. Although he had defeated Barbarian thunder, Yi Chen's internal energy was still rolling violently, clearly having suffered some depletion. He sat cross-legged on the ground within the space of the 16th floor of the ancient god tower, recovering. Outside the ancient god tower, as they saw Barbarian thunder concede defeat, and Yi Chen once again obtained a teleportation token to the 17th floor, the spirit of the sacred artifact was left gaping, at a loss for words. Yi Chen creating miracles one after another. Now, even the spirit of the sacred artifact didn't know what his limits were. Breaking into the 17th floor, then the 18th? Or could he, unprecedentedly, clear the entire ancient god tower, defeating all the guardians of the 18 floors? Another 30 days of cultivation. Yi Chen is already so strong now. To what extent will he improve after 30 days? The spirit of the sacred artifact had virtually witnessed Yi Chen's rise step by step. From a standout among the True Qi realm, to be able to sweep away experts at the 12th level of True Qi directly, and then to be a match for early-stage Spirit Sea realm experts. Now, he had even defeated invincible True Qi realm masters, possessing the absolute strength to overpower early-stage Spirit Sea realm experts. And yet, Yi Chen had never shown a true sense of powerlessness. In the trials of the 18th floor of the ancient god tower, no one had been able to bring him to a complete halt. Chirp! Chirp! The golden monkey, seeing Yi Chen victorious once again, excitedly leapt into the air, soaring hundreds of feet high, hopping around in the heaven and earth outside the ancient god tower. Meanwhile, on the 17th floor of the ancient god tower, a tier unseen by both the spirit of the sacred artifact, the golden monkey, and Yi Chen, a youth in gray clothing carrying a wine gourd on his back heaved a deep sigh. A peerless hero, this trialist, can definitely be called a peerless hero. With long-range martial arts, he has powerful and peerless sword intents, and in close combat, he possesses the explosive strength of his fighting body. Even the terrifying silver True Qi that he cultivates internally is beyond my comprehension. He simply does not show any weaknesses. If he had participated in the True Qi Realm Grand Competition back in the day, I'm afraid it would have been him, guarding the final levels of this ancient god tower, maybe even replacing me, guarding this 17th floor. From the words of the youth in gray clothing, it was clear that he was the guardian of the 17th floor of the ancient god tower. He had watched Yi Chen's battle with Barbarian thunder, hence the multitude of his reflections. Among sighs, the youth in gray raised his head and looked higher into the sky, towards the supreme 18th floor of the ancient god tower. If I were to battle this trialist, we might draw even, or I might even be defeated by him. It seems that only Princess Yenlinger, who was unmatched in the True Qi Realm Grand Competition those years ago, the princess of the Yen clan from the 6 ancient clans of the Minor Spirit Realm, could truly overpower this trialist. In the mind of the youth in gray, the image of an invincible young girl with a stunningly beautiful face emerged. Back then, this girl was truly unmatched. Even if there were countless True Qi realm experts from myriad races, she stood at the end. Therefore, she was the one to guard the strongest layer, the 18th floor, of the ancient god tower. The youth in gray then looked down towards the 16th floor, towards Yi Chen, who was sitting in meditation and silently cultivating on the 16th floor. Trialist, I hope you can subdue me just as you defeated Luo Qianxue and Barbarian Thunder. I hope you can have a true contest with Princess Yenlinger at the top floor of the ancient god tower. I've never heard the sound of the ancient god tower being pierced through. Never. After expressing his feelings, the youth in gray once again fell into silence. 30 days later inside the ancient god tower, which was 3 days outside the tower, Yi Chen, having completed his cultivation, officially entered the 17th floor of the ancient god tower, 30 days of cultivation had allowed Yi Chun to fully recover from the damage sustained in battle with barbarian thunder, and he had completely integrated the insights from their battle into his combat skills. The greater reward was that Yi Chun had managed to cultivate 2/3 of the heaven and earth true qi within the 9th true qi vortex into Gang Yuan true qi. At that moment, only a very small part of the 9 true qi vortices in Yi Chun's qi had not yet transformed into Gang Yuan true qi. The rest had all become Gang Yuan true qi. As stipulated by the second layer of the primordial star scripture's Gang Yuan chapter, the Gang Yuan mantra. Once all true qi had transformed into Gang Yuan true qi, the Gang Yuan mantra would be truly completed, and one could step into a new level of the primordial star scripture. Yi Chun was getting closer and closer to completing the Gang Yuan mantra. It was very likely that he would complete the Gang Yuan mantra within the ancient God Tower and enter the next stage of the Gang Yuan chapter, unlocking even more powerful spells from the primordial star scripture. The first layer of the primordial star scripture, the meridian refining art, had enabled him to cultivate the 8 extraordinary meridians and the 33 meridian wheels in addition to the qi meridians, greatly increasing his cultivation speed and divine sense perception. The second layer of the primordial star scripture, Gang Yuan mantra, allowed him to cultivate Gang Yuan true qi, which was countless times more formidable than heaven and earth true qi, propelling his combat power forward by a qualitative leap. Yi Chun had no idea what the next layer of spells would bring him. He was filled with immense anticipation when he stepped into the 17th level of the ancient God Tower and directly saw the guardian of the floor, the gray-clothed youth with a wine gourd on his back. Yi Chun's fighting spirit surged. He was determined to defeat another opponent, to gain more cultivation time and further refine his Gang Yuan true qi. He wanted to grasp this final opportunity for extra cultivation time offered by the miraculous time flow rate within the ancient God Tower. This 17th floor's guardian was different from the previous guardians. The gray-clothed youth immediately invited Yi Chun to display new techniques against him. If Yi Chun could display a technique that dazzled him, then he would concede defeat right away, allowing Yi Chun entry to the highest level of the ancient God Tower. Seeing this, Yi Chun did not hesitate, as what he urgently needed was cultivation time within the ancient God Tower. He was more than willing to fulfill the guardian's request. Whoosh! When Yi Chun's crimson fire flying sword flew out from the Sword Palace acupoint, the gray-clothed youth guardian of the 17th level was so shocked that he jumped up. He had not expected Yi Chun's technique to call upon a flying sword. The gray-clothed youth also knew the 3 major combat powers of flying swords. He even knew that if this had not been a tower challenge but a fight to the death, Yi Chun, with his flying sword, could easily slay a late-stage Spirit Sea Realm powerhouse by invoking the flying sword's second combat power, Lifebound Flying Sword Breakage. Immediately, the gray-clothed youth conceded defeat to Yi Chun. Having watched Yi Chun's battle with barbarian thunder, he was already aware of Yi Chun's formidable techniques. Confronted with Yi Chun displaying his flying sword skills again, he knew he was no match. 18th floor, Trialist. I am looking forward to you entering the 18th floor. You indeed have the capability. I hope that in your final battle against Princess Yenlinger, you won't be defeated too miserably. With those words, the gray-clothed youth left behind a teleportation token and disappeared. Princess Yenlinger, the final battle? Could it be that the guardian of the 18th floor is the Princess Yenlinger he mentioned? Yi Chun, holding the teleportation token to the highest level of the ancient God Tower, the 18th floor, had not expected that the penultimate level would yield so easily, his opponent conceding without a fight. He smiled and shook his head, then continued to cultivate on the 17th level of the ancient God Tower. Another 30 days passed, and Yi Chun, who had cultivated for a total of 510 days within the ancient God Tower, finally teleported to the last level, the 18th floor. Chapter 131, The Tower Guardian Yenlinger. Just as Yi Chun was transported to the 18th layer of the ancient God Tower, the topmost layer, the 18th layer of the tower began to light up brightly when viewed from the outside. The 18th layer. Yi Chun has entered the highest level of the ancient God Tower, the supreme 18th layer. Looking at the brightly illuminated 18th layer of the ancient God Tower, the spirit of the sacred artifact was extraordinarily excited. It had followed Heavenly Saint Dekong for countless years and had witnessed him obtaining this mystical ancient god tower. Yet, despite the passage of countless years, even within the Jindi ancient clan, no one had been able to enter the final 3 layers. Now, not only had Yi Chun entered the last 3 layers, but he had even successfully entered the highest 18th layer. Because of Yi Chun, the spirit of the sacred artifact had the chance to witness all 18 layers of the ancient god tower. Because of Yi Chun, the spirit of the sacred artifact could behold the guardians of all 18 layers of the ancient god tower. Yi Chun not only achieved the highest reward standard set by Heavenly Saint Dekong but also fulfilled all of the spirit of the sacred artifact's expectations for the final 3 layers of the tower. Little guy, the young boy who will eventually take you away from the ethereal spirit holy temple is really impressive. The spirit of the sacred artifact said to the golden monkey in its palm. "Yeah!" The golden monkey called out excitedly. The lively golden monkey clearly understood the words of the spirit of the sacred artifact. Its whole body shone with golden light, and its brilliant fur excitedly emitted bursts of auroral light. It was apparent that the little fellow was happy about Yi Chen's strength. Let's see the 18th layer. This ultimate layer is probably also the most difficult to break through. However, even if he doesn't break through, Yi Chun can still cultivate for 30 full days inside, and he'll have made complete use of all the extra cultivation time the Ancient God Tower offers. The Ancient God Tower has a total of 18 layers, and Yi Chun, having entered the 18th layer, can cultivate within it. Whether he breaks through or not won't affect his cultivation time. Of course, the spirit of the sacred artifact was keener to see Yi Chun successfully overcome all 18 layers. To conquer the entire Ancient God Tower, to slice through it completely, would be much more satisfying than losing at this final layer. Carrying a gaze full of anticipation, the spirit of the sacred artifact and the golden monkey both looked toward the interior of the 18th layer. Is this the 18th layer of the Ancient God Tower? Upon being transported to the spatial realm of the 18th layer, Yi Chun felt as if he had entered a fairy-like world. It was a vast, unimaginable expanse of heaven and earth where the spiritual energy was so dense it was unbelievable. Yi Chun had never before entered a realm with such concentrated spiritual energy. The spiritual energy even formed droplets of green spiritual liquid, which shimmered on the ground. Where Yi Chun stood, there was a vast green prairie, and looking into the distance, he could even see mountains floating in the sky. This 18th layer of the Ancient God Tower was distinct from the previous 17 layers. As Yi Chun was observing this world, a huge law platform suddenly rose not far from him. The enormous platform, composed of 7 green leaves, had a 12 or 13-year-old girl sitting cross-legged on top. This young girl, though young in age, radiated an otherworldly beauty. Her whole body emitted a holy and fairy-like aura, unlike any mortal being. The girl's waterfall-like hair flowed freely over the green leaf law platform. She wore simple and elegant white robes, and her crystal-clear eyes were now looking at Yi Chun. Congratulations, trialist. You have entered the 18th layer, and now you can enjoy the full benefit of the Ancient God Tower's 10-fold time flow for cultivation. The girl said to Yi Chun with a faint smile. Yi Chun looked at the girl, who, despite her young age, exuded a holy, fairy-like aura, and felt a stir in his heart. It seems she is the Princess Yenlinger mentioned by the guardian of the 17th layer. Yi Chun remembered that the guardian of the 17th layer had also hoped that he wouldn't lose too badly on the 18th layer. The guardian had witnessed Yi Chen's sword intents, his 9 transformation fighting body techniques, and he had even seen Yi Chen's flying sword technique. Yi Chen's various methods even made the guardian concede the match. Still, that guardian believed Yi Chun would lose to the girl on this 18th layer, which suggested the girl's formidable power. Yi Chun could hardly wait to experience the girl's moves firsthand. As if sensing Yi Chen's eagerness for the challenge, the girl gave Yi Chun a gentle smile. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Yenlinger. Princess Yenlinger? I am Yi Chun. I've already heard of your great name in the 17th layer, Yi Chun said to the girl with a smile. That Mo Yun song really took the easy way out, knowing he couldn't beat you and conceding straight away, the girl said with a wry smile. Her eyes as clear as glass then turned back to Yi-chun. However, Yi-chun, since you've come to this point, just quietly cultivate here. After 30 days, you will also leave the ancient God Tower. There's no need to challenge me. Since the ancient God Tower was created, which has been 3,572 years, no one has defeated me since I left my divine sense to guard the highest layer over 3,000 years ago, and I reckon you won't be an exception. The girl's voice was filled with immense confidence. She was actually telling Yi-chun to concede directly and focus on cultivating peacefully. But how could Yi-chun ever concede so easily? Having reached the final layer, he of course had to duel with the guardian of this last level. Even if his opponent was formidable, he wouldn't concede without a fight, and he wanted to witness the strength of his adversary. Princess Yenlinger, since I have reached this level, I must, of course, engage with you in combat. I hope the princess will oblige, Yi-chun said without any hesitation. If you wish to challenge me, as the guardian of this layer, I will certainly fulfill your wish. However, before we cross swords, let me tell you about the ancient God Tower. Then, you can decide whether you still wish to challenge me. Yenlinger, who was sitting on the green leaf law platform, spoke. The affairs of the ancient God Tower? This ancient God Tower involved the mysteries of the laws of time that not even beings of the heavenly saint realm could comprehend. Yi-chun was naturally immensely interested. He also wanted to hear just what kind of secrets Princess Yenlinger, the guardian of the highest level of the ancient God Tower, would reveal about it. In fact, this ancient God Tower was crafted by my grandfather, the ancient emperor of the Yen clan from the minor spirit realm. Such ancient God Towers, he crafted a total of 99. The ancient God Tower was crafted by Yenlinger's grandfather, the ancient emperor of the Yen clan from the minor spirit realm. There were as many as 99 of these miraculous ancient God Towers. Yi-chun was completely astonished by what Yenlinger had revealed about the ancient God Tower. Minor spirit realm? Why does that place sound so familiar? Yi-chun felt as if he had heard of the minor spirit realm somewhere. In a flash of insight, he recalled where he had encountered the name minor spirit realm. Back in the Thousand Lotus Cave abode, when Yi-chun and Zhang Yao climbed the summit of the Mountain of Swords, they met the shadow clone left by Heavenly Saint Qianji, who mentioned that the real Heavenly Saint Qianji had gone to the minor spirit realm. Heavenly Saint Qianji went to the minor spirit realm in search of a sacred treasure that could revive Heavenly Saint Lianyu, who had fallen into a coma due to the collapse of the Flying Sword Palace. At that time, Yi-chun had wondered what kind of place the minor spirit realm was. Now, to hear about the minor spirit realm again in this ancient God Tower, and even to encounter Yenlinger from the minor spirit realm, and her grandfather, the ancient emperor of the Yen clan who crafted these towers, was unexpected, although he didn't know just how wondrous the minor spirit realm was. The mere fact that Heavenly Saint Qianji had journeyed there in search of a sacred treasure made it clear that it must be extraordinary. Although he was unaware of how powerful the ancient emperor of the Yen clan was, from the mere ability to craft ancient God Towers with time flowing 10 times faster, he could deduce that the emperor's strength likely surpassed that of the Heavenly Saint realm. No wonder Yenlinger was so confident in saying that Yi-chun could not possibly defeat her. After all, she was the granddaughter of the master of the ancient God Tower, possessing a grand heritage and presumably significant strength. Yenlinger continued, "My grandfather crafted such ancient God Towers in order to nurture the young members of our Yen clan. Hence, only those under the age of 20 could enter. Later, in order to spread their benefits to other realms, my grandfather sent 33 of these towers into the lower realm, and the one you're in is one of the ancient God Towers that flowed into the barbaric wilderness continent." Lower realm? Barbaric wilderness continent? Does that mean the minor spirit realm is not within the barbaric wilderness continent? Yi-chun always thought that the minor spirit realm was a mysterious place within the barbaric wilderness continent, but from Yenlinger's words, it seemed that the minor spirit realm was far more powerful. The barbaric wilderness continent was only known as a lower realm to the minor spirit realm. Princess Yenlinger, where exactly is the minor spirit realm? Yi-chun became exceedingly curious about the minor spirit realm. The minor spirit realm is one of 33 continents, including the barbaric wilderness continent, that make up the supreme spiritual realm. Only those with the strength of the Heavenly Saint realm have the chance to traverse the spatial fractures to the minor spirit realm that open once every 3,000 years. Others can only be transported there if the supreme beings within the minor spirit realm employ great divine powers to passively bring them in. Yi-chan, your current strength is not sufficient to enter the minor spirit realm, Yen Linger said with a light smile. Yi-chan nodded. He was currently in the true Qi realm, and although his true combat ability could already suppress early-stage Spirit Sea realm experts and even contend with mid-stage Spirit Sea realm practitioners, he was still vastly far from reaching the Heavenly Saint realm. The prospect of navigating through the mysterious spatial fractures, as told by Yen Linger, was simply out of his reach. After crafting the ancient God Tower, my grandfather teleported countless true Qi realm experts from 33 realms of the lower realm, along with those from the minor spirit realm, to conduct a grand competition. Ultimately, 4 individuals, including myself, were chosen as the final 4 guardians of the ancient God Tower. In our Yen clan, if someone manages to break through to the 16th level, they qualify to cultivate in the sacred lands of our clan. However, for the 33 towers that entered the lower realm, such an opportunity is not available. They only provide the chance to cultivate with accelerated time. Nonetheless, my grandfather once said that if anyone could break through all 18 levels and completely conquer the ancient God Tower, even a person from the lower realm would be given an opportunity, a chance to cultivate in the Yen clan's ancient lands. But in the more than 2,000 years since the 33 ancient God Towers entered the lower realm, no one has ever managed to break through all 18 levels. Even within my Yen clan, no one has achieved such a feat. After all, only those under the age of 20 can enter the tower, and so far, no one under that age has managed to defeat me. Yi-chan, do you think you can be the first to break through all 18 levels? In the end, Yen Linger with a smile asked Yi-chan. Chapter 132 Yuenting Crimson Fire. Whether I can make it through or not, I must try. Yi-chan looked at Yen Linger, saying so with a light smile. Yen Linger's words, of course, wouldn't scare Yi-chan. Just because others failed, it didn't mean Yi-chan would fail the challenge too. Even in defeat, he must fight. Engaging with various masters, grasping combat skills through battles, and enhancing his actual combat abilities were things Yi-chan had always been doing. The great opportunity of the ancient God Tower was not only about the chance of accelerated time flow but also the chance to spar with the guardians of each level of the tower. The strongest level guardian of this 18th floor, the first-place champion of the true Qi realm from the minor spirit realm, Yen Linger, was here, and Yi-chan wouldn't miss the opportunity to spar with her. Moreover, Yi-chan was not without a chance of victory. Since stepping onto the barbaric wilderness continent, Yi-chan's achievements had already far surpassed countless true Qi realm cultivators. To date, no one had heard of anyone who could, in just over a year, rise from a weakling of the first layer of the true Qi realm, subjected to being bullied by others, to a strength that could rival a mid-stage Spirit Sea realm powerhouse. Nor had anyone seen someone like Yi-chan, cultivating so many powerful methods. More than a year's harsh training in the ancient God Tower, accumulating day by day, Yi-chan had indeed reaped a great harvest and transformed tremendously. Although Yi-chan was not born as noble as Yen Linger, he relied on his hard work and relentless cultivation, seizing every opportunity to turn all chances into his strength. Of course, he dared to challenge Yen Linger in battle. Good, as I said, if you challenge me, I won't refuse. Make your move, and if you can get within a 30-foot range of me, I will stand up and fight you. So far, out of the 99 ancient God Towers and challenges over 3,000 years, only 2 people have managed to do so. Seated on the green leaf law platform, dressed in a white robe, holy and celestial like Yen Linger spoke to Yi-chan. In the challenges of over 3,000 years across the 99 ancient God Towers, only 2 people could force Yen Linger to stand up for a battle? Others couldn't even get close to her? Yen Linger was this powerful. Yi-chan felt his fighting spirit surge. He too wanted to see just how formidable Yen Linger was. Then I shall learn from Princess Yen Linger. As Yi-chan spoke, the Gang Yuan true Qi inside his body surged forth, and the wind thunder wings immediately appeared on his back. With a flap of his wings, Yi-chan prepared to fly towards Yen Linger. The distance between Yi Chun and Yenlinger was only about a dozen yards, and with the speed of the wind thunder wings, he could break into Yenlinger's 30-foot range in just the blink of an eye, forcing her to stand and confront him. But since Yenlinger indicated that most people couldn't even get close to her, it probably wouldn't be that easy to fly over there. Yi Chun also grew wary in his heart. Swoosh! Just as Yi Chun unfurled his wings and started to take off, countless vines suddenly broke through the soil on the large grassland where he stood, and in an instant, transformed into giant vines, dozens of meters long, dancing wildly in the sky, entwining towards Yi Chun. The giant vines were astonishingly fast. Before Yi Chun could even move, the vines had already wrapped in front of him. Yenlinger's move. Instantly, Yi Chun realized this was Yenlinger's move. No wonder she said it was hard for someone to get close to her. She could remotely control the dancing vines to obstruct her opponent's advance. Yi Chun had been on guard for Yenlinger's move. As the vines wrapped in front of him, countless sword of true chi materialized around Yi Chun. Whoosh! 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 No sooner had these sword of true chi formed than they sliced towards the dancing vines. These sword of true chi, formed by the powerful sword intent of thunder, could easily shred a mountain. However, when these thunder swords slashed at the dancing vines, they only left shallow sword marks on them, unable to sever the vines at all. Yi Chun's face changed dramatically. He hadn't anticipated that the dancing vines controlled by Yenlinger would be so tough. In the meantime, the vines had wrapped around the protective true chi outside Yi Chun's body. Just as Yi Chun was about to unleash an even more powerful slaughter sword intent, the vines didn't pierce through his protective true chi. Instead, with a fierce coiling and a toss, they flung Yi Chun dozens of yards away. These vines, incredibly fast and unbelievably tough, even their strength was astonishing. Whoosh! Yi Chun, flung away by the vines, stabilized himself from falling to the ground by fluttering his wind thunder wings in midair and halted to hover in the void. What kind of technique is this? Yi Chun looked at the giant dancing vines, each dozens of meters long in the area where he had been standing, and couldn't help but exclaim. This was the first time Yi Chun had been flung directly since he entered the ancient god tower. The 18th floor guardian, Princess Yenlinger, indeed exhibited astonishing strength as soon as she made her move. Again, with the wind thunder wings unfurled behind him, Yi Chun once again shot toward Princess Yenlinger, while at the same time, countless swords of true chi emanating an endless aura of slaughter hovered around his body. These were the swords of true chi controlled by the slaughter sword intent. Facing the incredibly hard and massive vines, Yi Chun prepared to employ his strongest sword intent to cut down these tendrils. Boom! Just as Yi Chun shot forward, endless vines burst forth beneath him, sweeping toward him to entwine and bind from all directions. Puffed, puffed, puffed. This time, Yi Chun wielded the swords of true chi controlled by the slaughter sword intent, with the lights of the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning, for sword intents swirling around them, suddenly exploding with boundless killing intent. The sword of slaughter directly struck at the massive vines entwining from all around. As expected of the slaughter sword intent, which was more powerful than any of the 4 sword intents Yi Chun possessed. Whereas the sword intent of thunder only managed to leave small sword marks on the massive vines, the sword of slaughter actually cut them in half. However, before Yi Chun could even feel a sense of joy, something astonishing happened. Where the vines had been cut, new ones sprouted instantly, reforming into a sky full of tendrils that wrapped toward him again. Cut! 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 Yi Chun relentlessly sliced through the vines with the sword of slaughter, but the growth rate of these tendrils did not slow down compared to the speed at which he was cutting them. In fact, it eventually turned into an endless, scorched battle. If this went on, Yi Chun feared that he would run out of true chi before he could even reach Princess Yenlinger, let alone cut down all the vines. This earth elemental vine is my innate secret skill, the power of the earth, endlessly regenerating. In over 3,000 years, only 2 people have broken through the deadly trap of the earth elemental vine. Yi Chun, if you can't resist, just admit defeat. Wrapped in the enveloping vine tendrils, Yi Chun heard Princess Yenlinger's faint voice. Admit defeat? Having just fought, how could Yi Chun admit defeat? If others had passed through the deadly trap of these vines, it meant there must be a way to break through. The speed of cutting must surpass the rate of the vine's growth. To increase the power of killing, my slaughter sword intent has just clashed with this earth elemental vine. I must further suppress these vines with stronger attacks. As this thought flashed through Yi Chun's mind, a point of crimson light burst forth suddenly from the center of his forehead. This burst of crimson light transformed into a fiery red sword beam, which happened to be Yi Chun's life-bound flying sword, Crimson Fire, kept within the Sword Palace acupoint. A flying sword? On the 17th floor, you've already withdrawn this flying sword. With your true Chi realm, the flying sword you nurtured cannot sever my earth elemental vine, unless you ignite the life-bound sacrifice, or even cause the flying sword to self-destruct. Yi Chun, this is just a test of the ancient god tower. Do you truly wish to damage your sword palace by risking the life-bound sacrifice or the self-destruction of your flying sword? Princess Yenlinger, seeing Yi Chun control his life-bound flying sword to shoot forth, still had no ripples in her voice. At this moment, as the crimson fire flying sword that shot out turned into a fiery red sword beam, an endless gleam of firelight suddenly erupted from the sword, and the entire flying sword seemed to instantly elevate to a shocking quality. Who said that the flying sword nurtured by my true Chi realm must require a life-bound sacrifice or self-destruction to sever the earth elemental vine? On the 17th floor, I only displayed the flying sword for that guardian to see. I never used the full power of the flying sword. Now, let's see if this earth elemental vine can withstand the burn of my crimson fire. Boom! In the midst of Yi Chun's words, the crimson fire flying sword, radiating endless firelight, directly flew toward the sky full of massive vines entwining him. When the flying sword struck the vines, its fire actually set the massive tendrils alight. The speed of the flying sword was incomparably fast. In an instant, while darting through the sky, all the vines were ignited. The sky full of vines burned fiercely. How is this possible? Princess Yenlinger, seated in meditation and seeing her massive vines set ablaze by the fire of the flying sword, showed an incredulous expression on her usually calm face and even stood up abruptly. And at this moment, with the flying sword's fire igniting the sky full of vines, they could no longer stop Yi Chun. With a flutter of the wind thunder wings, he directly reached Princess Yenlinger. Yi Chun had become the third person to force Princess Yenlinger to stand up. What Princess Yenlinger did not know was that Yi Chun's life-bound flying sword, Crimson Fire, was no ordinary flying sword. It was a remarkable treasure won from the Sea God Palace in the Sea of Chaos at the Heavenly Saint Realm Sword Fighting Championship held by Heavenly Saints Chen Ji and Lian Yu, a stupendous flying sword of saint-tier quality. Although Yi Chun had not yet fully nurtured it to wield the power of a sacred weapon, after more than a year of nurturing, the Crimson Fire flying sword had already changed from its past self. It now possessed a tremendous combat strength. This combat strength, which released the flying sword's fire, was no ordinary flame but a true fire of high quality inherent in the sword's power. It easily pierced through Princess Yenlinger's earth elemental vine formation. Flying sword. The true might of the life-bound flying sword, Crimson Fire. The killer move that Yi Chun had never used in the previous 17 floors of the ancient god tower was finally unleashed on this last level. Chapter 133. The Seven Leaves Skylocking Formation. This is no ordinary flying sword. Yi Chun, you actually cultivated such a powerful flying sword in the lower realm, even within the realm of true Chi. Watching the earth elemental vine ignited by the flying sword's true fire, and looking at Yi Chun, who had reached her face, Princess Yenlinger immediately reacted. She had underestimated the combat power of Yi Chun's flying sword. At this moment, with a flap of the wind thunder wings, Yi Chun, who had already approached Princess Yenlinger, unleashed a fiery red sword glow in front of him. The Crimson Fire flying sword pierced through the void, striking towards Princess Yenlinger. The The true might of the unleashed flying sword was incredibly fast to an unimaginable degree. In almost an instant, it shot towards Princess Yenlinger's head. Confronting this guardian of the 18th floor of the ancient god tower from the minor spirit realm, Yi-Chun showed no mercy and aimed to directly obliterate her divine sense illusion. In a duel between masters, being slow by just a moment could result in defeat. So of course, Yi-Chun wanted to seize the upper hand while Princess Yenlinger was caught off guard. Faced with the crimson fire flying sword that suddenly erupted with great speed, Princess Yenlinger still wore a look of surprise on her delicate face, but she was not panicked. In a reaction time that seemed impossible for someone in the true Qi realm, the young lady's slender jade finger pointed into the void. The giant platform beneath her, composed of 7 green leaves, had one of its leaves quiver in the void, appearing in front of her forehead to intercept the incoming crimson fire flying sword. Boom! The flying sword, which had been nurtured for over a year and possessed incredible combat power capable of burning the earth elemental vine with its true fire, was actually blocked by this green leaf upon impact. Moreover, under the turbulence of the flying sword's true fire, a green light flickered on the surface of the green leaf, completely extinguishing the true fire that had melted onto the leaf. This several-foot-long green leaf was of a quality that was in no way inferior to Yi-Chen's crimson fire flying sword. Princess Yenlinger from the minor spirit realm indeed also possessed her own extraordinary treasures. After blocking Yi-Chen's crimson fire flying sword with her move, Princess Yenlinger in her elegant white clothes directly soared into mid-air. Her left hand pointed again, and the other 6 leaves of the green leaf platform below shot out as well. These 6 green leaves, together with the one previously stimulated to block the flying sword, formed a cluster of 7-leaf protective array, slowly revolving around Princess Yenlinger, guarding her. Simultaneously, with another point of Princess Yenlinger's right hand, all the flames engulfing the earth elemental vine on the ground were extinguished in an instant, and the vast expanse of huge vines quickly contracted and disappeared back into the earth. From the moment Yi-Chun launched the flying sword attack to Princess Yenlinger intercepting it and soaring into mid-air, it might seem like a drawn-out process, but in reality, it was all within a fleeting moment. At this point, Yi-Chun and Princess Yenlinger, one on the offense and the other on defense, were directly confronting each other in mid-air. Outside Yi-Chen's body, the crimson fire flying sword traced mysterious fiery red arcs, circling and dancing non-stop around him. Meanwhile, the silver wind thunder wings behind Yi-Chun gently fluttered, allowing him to hover in the void. And beneath Princess Yenlinger, as the 7-leaf protective array rotated around her, she seemed to be able to float in the air without invoking wings like Yi-Chun. One was a young man who had ascended to the 18th floor of the ancient god tower within the realm of true Qi. The other was an invincible master of the true Qi realm from the minor spirit realm's Yen clan, who had been guarding this highest floor of the ancient tower since thousands of years ago. Both were peerless geniuses in the realm of true Qi, yet both had the means to stand in the air as if they were powerful beings from the spirit sea realm. Yi-Chen, not bad. You're the 3rd person to make me stand up and fight. Princess Yenlinger, standing in the void, looked at Yi-Chun, her holy, fairy-like face showing a faint smile. Princess Yenlinger, you're quite impressive too. Yi-Chun looked at the girl opposite him and felt a tremor in his heart. All his powerful techniques, the fusion of the 4-sword intents with the slaughter sword intent, along with the crimson fire flying sword, had been revealed, but he still couldn't gauge the depth of Princess Yenlinger's abilities. Princess Yenlinger was indeed deserving of her reputation. She had once been the champion in the Yen clan's competition among billions of true Qi realm geniuses in the minor spirit realm and possessed immense strength, sufficient to guard this astonishing highest level of the ancient god tower. In the void, Yi-Chun and Princess Yenlinger, after a few exchanges, had both recognized the strength of the other. However, of course, the battle must continue. Yi-Chun, although you're the 3rd person to make me take a stand and fight, like the other 2, you will be defeated by me directly. As she spoke, Princess Yenlinger finally made her move, with a point of her finger toward Yi-Chun. 3 of the 7 revolving green leaves disappeared instantly. 3-leaf sky-locking array. At the shout of Princess Yenlinger, centered on Yi Chun, 3 astonishingly tall green leaves suddenly appeared in the void around his body, sweeping towards and enveloping him. In the midst of towering, hundreds of meters tall green leaves, Yi Chun appeared minuscule, and in an instant, he was trapped within the green leaf formation. Above and below, all that met Yi Chun's eyes was a sea of green. All of it was the vast expanse of huge green leaves. Green leaf formation. This is even more terrifying than being entwined by the earth elemental vine. With a burst of divine sense, Yi Chun saw the predicament he was in, completely enveloped within the embrace of 3 colossal green leaves, trapped within the formation. Whoosh! Seeing this difficult situation, Yi Chun's crimson fire flying sword, which was circling around him, shot out toward the green leaves. The green leaves had already blocked one of Yi Chun's attacks, and now, he directly infused his most powerful sword intent, the slaughter sword intent, into the flying sword. In an instant, the fiery red glow of the flying sword surged with a slaughtering force that sought to destroy everything. When this force touched the massive green leaves, the leaves were actually forced to expand outwards for hundreds of meters by the impact of the flying sword. These green leaves were incredibly resilient, so much so that even the flying sword imbued with slaughter sword intent couldn't cut through them. However, although the leaves remained uncut, as they continued to expand outward, light began to seep in from above the green leaf formation, showing signs that Yi Chun was about to break through. He can even withstand my 3-leaf skylocking array. Princess Yenlinger, watching from the void, saw Yi Chun still resisting within the embrace of the giant green leaves. Her expression shifted, and in an instant, another green leaf disappeared from around her. Then, another leaf was added to the green leaves trapping Yi Chun, which were already hundreds of meters tall. This was unmistakably the skylocking formation's 4-leaf trap and kill that Yenlinger had cultivated. Boom! With the addition of another green leaf to the formation, Yi Chun immediately felt the binding forces around him intensify. Stirring his mind, boundless Gang Yuan true chi swept out and poured into the flying sword. Even with slaughter sword intent imbued, if he couldn't break Princess Yenlinger's array, Yi Chun decided to add the technique of Gang Yuan true chi into the flying sword as well. The crimson fire flying sword, befitting of its status as a sacred tier sword, grew stronger under the infusion of sword intent and true chi, transforming into a fiery red giant sword tens of meters long that slashed at the green leaf. This slash actually managed to create a crack in the green leaf. I can get out now. The hundreds of meters long green leaf now had a crack tens of meters long, which was more than enough for Yi Chun, trapped within the formation. He spread his wind thunder wings and flew towards the crack. He intended to leave the huge green leaf entwined trap and kill formation. Whoosh! Just as Yi Chun had almost reached the crack in the green leaf, another leaf appeared right there. Not only that, but another giant green leaf, wrapping horizontally, also joined the formation. The great array of green leaves trapping Yi Chun had now grown to include 6 leaves. From the outside, the space where Yi Chun was located in the void was completely enveloped by 6 huge green leaves, each hundreds of meters tall, and enclosing him from all sides, layer upon layer, completely trapping him within. Despite infusing both Gang Yuan true chi and slaughter sword intent into the flying sword, Yi Chun couldn't break through the array. He was utterly engulfed by the green leaf formation. My 7-leaf skylocking array is most powerful when all 7 leaves are deployed, even capable of trapping and slaying a mid-stage Spirit Sea realm powerhouse. Yi Chun, you are the first person in the realm of true chi to force me to use my 6-leaf trap and kill. The 2 who were able to cross swords with me before could only ever force out my 4-leaf trap and kill at most. Yi Chun, spend the last 30 days of your training for the 18th floor of the ancient god tower locked within this 6-leaf skylocking formation. Yi Chun, trapped within the great green leaf array, heard Princess Yenlinger's voice carry into his ears. Chapter 134, Gang Yuan 3 Transformations. At this moment, inside the green leaf great formation, the space wasn't entirely sealed off. there was still an area a few hundred yards in radius. Outside this few hundred yards lay the massive, overlapping green leaves of the formation. Yi-chan, who was trapped within the skylocking formation, was now being relentlessly pursued by the powerful Six Leaves Array. Despite whatever techniques or methods he employed, he could not break the confining array to free himself. After all his techniques proved ineffective, Yi-chan finally retracted his Crimson Fire Flying Sword back into the Flying Sword Palace. This was the 18th floor's challenge in the ancient God Tower, and it was not designed to kill Yi-chan, but if he couldn't break the formation, it meant he had failed in his combat against Yen Linger. To break this green leaf great formation, I must enhance my cultivation again. My current strength is not enough to breach this formation. There are 30 days left. I must find a way to break the formation, emerge from it, and confront Yen Linger once more. Of course, Yi-chan wouldn't give up so easily. On this 18th floor of the ancient God Tower, he still had 30 days of cultivation time. He still had a chance to enhance his strength. If on the last day he still couldn't defeat Yen Linger, that would be the moment he would be willing to accept defeat. To admit defeat now would be too premature. Strength. Enhance my strength in these 30 days. Yi-chan's mind raced, considering the methods available for him to continue increasing his strength. Currently, Yi-chan had mastered 4 types of sword intents, even condensing a more powerful slaughter sword intent from them. But there was no corresponding cultivation technique to further enhance it. As for the 9 transformation fighting body, with the help of Heavenly Saint Dekong's innate essence map, he had cultivated it to the 2nd transformation, but he had already tested and knew that even with the combat power of the 2nd transformation, he couldn't break the formation. Furthermore, it was impossible to reach the 3rd transformation in just a short month. The nurturing of the flying sword, the Crimson Fire Flying Sword, was a long-term process. Yi-chan had already immersed the Crimson Fire Flying Sword again in the Sword Chi Spirit liquid within the Sword Palace acupoint for further nurturing. The most likely opportunity to enhance his power and break the formation would be with the cultivation of his primordial star scripture. Upon thinking of this, Yi-chan's spirit shook wildly, and he suddenly regained his confidence in breaking the formation. The primordial star scripture, it was the cultivation of the primordial star scripture. During this year-long period in the ancient God Tower, Yi-chan focused on cultivating Gang Yuan True Qi. He had already completely transformed 8 of the 9 True Qi vortices within the Qi Sea into Gang Yuan True Qi, and even within the 9th vortex he had cultivated the vast majority, leaving only a very small portion still not refined into Gang Yuan True Qi. Yi-chan was very close to completing the 2nd layer of the Gang Yuan chapter of the primordial star scripture, Gang Yuan Mantra. Even more, Yi-chan was confident that by spending about 10 more days, he could transform all the heaven and earth True Qi in the 9 True Qi vortices into Gang Yuan True Qi, meeting the requirement for the Gang Yuan Mantra to be completely cultivated. Once the Gang Yuan Mantra was fully cultivated, Yi-chan would be able to enter the Starlight Tower again and obtain the 3rd layer of the primordial star scripture's Gang Yuan chapter. By then, his strength would undoubtedly skyrocket, and breaking Yen Linger's skylocking formation would become highly possible. Gang Yuan Mantra. I will complete the cultivation of the Gang Yuan Mantra, strive to re-enter the Starlight Tower, and obtain the 3rd layer of the primordial star scripture's Gang Yuan chapter. The primordial star scripture had never let Yi-chan down. The 1st level, Meridian Refining Art, rapidly advanced Yi-chan's True Qi realm by cultivating the Qi Meridian and the 8 extraordinary meridians, including the 33 meridian wheels. The 2nd level, Gang Yuan Mantra, which cultivated Gang Yuan True Qi, had significantly boosted Yi-chan's power. Yi-chan was looking forward to the 3rd layer's cultivation technique, and not just for breaking Yen Linger's grand formation, but to obtain the 3rd layer technique as soon as possible. Over the past year, Yi-chan didn't prioritize cultivating his True Qi realm but instead focused on cultivating Gang Yuan True Qi and its associated techniques for this very reason. Cultivating Gang Yuan True Qi. To swiftly transform all my True Qi into Gang Yuan True Qi, and then return to the Starlight Tower. With his mind made up, Yi-chan calmed his spirit completely, staying vigilant for any changes in the green leaf great formation, while commencing the final stage of cultivating Gang Yuan True Qi within the 9th True Qi vortex. As Yi Chun delved into his cultivation, Yenlinger outside the green leaf grate formation also sat down on the ground of the 18th floor. She did not launch further attacks against Yi Chun and had trapped him in the formation, just as she had trapped the other two challengers before him. After 30 days, eliminating Yi Chun would be enough. After all, this was an ancient God Tower challenge, not a battle to the death. As the guardian of this floor, Yenlinger wouldn't expel him from the ancient God Tower directly within 30 days if Yi Chun didn't attack her. Yenlinger was even looking forward to it, hoping that Yi Chun would enhance his strength during these 30 days of cultivation and challenge her again. As the guardian of the tower's supreme floor, she anticipated a battle that would push her to use her full strength. This Yi Chun is indeed quite impressive. Perhaps with more cultivation, he will be able to break through my 6 leaves heavenly lock array, forcing me to use my 7 leaves heavenly lock array, or even mightier techniques. I hope he can seize the last 30-day opportunity in this ancient God Tower, and grant me a battle that allows me to go all out. Even during the True Chi Realm contest held by my grandfather, I never had to use my full potential. After murmuring to herself, the young girl sat cross-legged in the midst of the 18th floor's landscape, staring at the enormous green leaf-bound skylocking formation, and began to wait. Impressive! This 18th floor guardian, capable of holding this supreme floor, is indeed formidable. Outside the ancient God Tower, the spirit of the sacred artifact watched Yenlinger's exchange with Yi Chun, shocked by their immense strength. When Yenlinger activated the 6 leaves skylocking array, completely trapping Yi Chun within the grand formation, the spirit of the sacred artifact gained an even deeper recognition of the terrifying strength possessed by this young girl. It was outside the tower, unable to hear the conversation between Yenlinger and Yi Chun, and unaware of Yenlinger's astonishing identity. But merely based on the strength that Yenlinger had displayed, she had completely won its admiration. Even its former master, Heavenly Saint Di Kong, had not been as formidable as Yenlinger when he was in the realm of true Qi. Eek! Eek! At this moment, the golden monkey, seeing Yi Chun trapped in the green leaf grate formation, was extremely anxious. It was jumping about frantically outside the tower and had even tried to enter the ancient God Tower. Of course, the ancient God Tower did not allow it to enter. Don't worry, Yi Chun will be fine. The trials of the ancient God Tower will not take a life. At most, one will be eliminated. By now, Yi Chun has reached the 18th layer. After the last 30 days of cultivation time, he will have fully gained the opportunity presented by the time flow rate of the ancient God Tower. All the extra cultivation time is his. Even if he cannot defeat Yenlinger, his gains will still be considerable. The spirit of the sacred artifact patted the golden monkey while speaking with a smile. After hearing the words of the spirit of the sacred artifact, the exceedingly anxious golden monkey finally calmed down a little. However, its eyes, which shone like black gemstones, were still filled with worry as it looked at the tower and the green leaf grate formation that wrapped layer upon layer around Yi Chun. Inside the 18th layer of the ancient God Tower, within the green leaf grate formation, Yi Chun had fully immersed himself in the cultivation of Gang Yuan True Qi. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. As time gradually passed, the heaven and earth True Qi in the 9 True Qi vortices within Yi Chun's Qi Si became less and less, while the Gang Yuan True Qi increased more and more, until all the True Qi vortices were almost completely silvery white. On the 9th day that Yi Chun was trapped in the green leaf grate formation, he finally reached the last moment where the cultivation of Gang Yuan True Qi and the complete cultivation of the Gang Yuan mantra were finished. Whoosh! As the last trace of heaven and earth True Qi entered his Qi meridian, the 8 extraordinary meridians, and the 33 meridian wheels, completing a perfect large cycle and fully accomplishing the transformation of Gang Yuan True Qi into a strand of silvery white Gang Yuan True Qi that flew back into the Qi Si. Yi Chun's 9 True Qi vortices in the Qi Si had become completely Gang Yuan True Qi vortices. At that moment, Yi Chun felt that the long silent stars tower within his Qi Si once again stirred, finally sending out a response force toward him. This was an unmistakable sign that he could enter the Starlight Tower again. Yi Chun's heart started pounding with excitement. Finally, He was about to enter the Starlight Tower for the third time and receive the cultivation technique of the primordial star scripture. Boom! With a move of his mind, Yi Chen's mind and spirit entered his Qi Si, and then the doors of the first layer of the star's tower within his Qi Si burst open, directly drawing in Yi Chen's mind and spirit. Within the first layer of the Starlight Tower inside the Great Hall, for the third time, Yi Chen saw 5 massive fire altars, inside which lay the 5 layers of the primordial star scripture's Gang Yuan chapter. Yi Chen had already obtained the first 2 layers, Meridian Refining Art and Gang Yuan Mantra. Now, he was about to acquire the 3rd layer of the cultivation technique. As Yi Chen stood amongst the 5 massive fire altars, his mind suddenly filled with a strange and wonderful melody. Upon hearing this melody, a look of disbelief crossed Yi Chen's face. Gang Yuan 3 transformations? After completing the 2nd layer, the Gang Yuan Mantra, I can actually obtain all the remaining 3 layers at once, and all the remaining 3 layers are collectively known as the Gang Yuan 3 transformations? Yi Chen had always thought he would have to attain each of the 5 layers of the Gang Yuan chapter one by one, but to his surprise, after completing the 2nd layer, the methods to unlock the final 3 layers were all transmitted into his mind. Could it be that this time, he could obtain all 3 layers at once, and fully receive the entirety of the primordial star scripture's Gang Yuan chapter? In disbelief, Yi Chen sat cross-legged among the 5 massive fire altars. Of these 5 fire altars, 2 had already released the Meridian Refining Art and Gang Yuan Mantra, the first 2 techniques. The remaining fire altars that had not yet released any techniques were 3 in number. As Yi Chen recited the mystical melody in his mind, in an instant, within the remaining 3 massive fire altars, countless thunders exploded, and the sounds of beasts roaring echoed until, at last, all transformed into the words of a spell, flying into Yi Chen's mind. Looking into his mind at the newly entered techniques, Yi Chen was astonished to see that they were indeed the final 3 layers of the Gang Yuan chapter, the Gang Yuan 3 transformations. The Gang Yuan 3 transformations, the last 3 great divine powers of the Gang Yuan chapter. Gang Yuan first transformation, Gang Qi transformation. Once this transformation is cultivated, all heaven and earth true Qi absorbed in the future will automatically transform into Gang Yuan true Qi without the need for special cultivation. Gang Yuan second transformation, Void instantaneous change. After completing this transformation, one can instantly move to any location covered by the divine sense. If the divine sense covers 100 yards, one can instantaneously move anywhere within this range. If the divine sense covers 1,000 yards, then instantaneous movement can occur within the 1,000-yard range. The wider the divine sense's coverage, the larger the instant movement range. Gang Yuan third transformation, True Thunder extreme change. When the amount of Gang Yuan true Qi reaches its limit, a true thunder induction will occur within the body, and within 3 months, it is imperative to attract the 9 heavens true thunder to bombard the Gang Yuan true Qi. Once the Gang Yuan true Qi undergoes an extreme change due to the thunder strike, it will be time to step into the 2nd chapter of the primordial star scripture. As he reviewed the 3 newly acquired techniques in his mind, Yi Chen's excitement grew. Gang Qi transformation, Void instantaneous change, True Thunder extreme change. Following Meridian Refining Art and Gang Yuan Mantra, Yi Chen had once again obtained 3 powerful cultivation techniques, 3 great divine powers. Chapter 135, Crazy Promotion. Inside the first layer of the Starlight Tower lies the first chapter of the 7 parts of the primordial star scripture, the Gang Yuan chapter, containing 5 minor layers of techniques: Meridian Refining Art, Gang Yuan Mantra, Gang Qi Transformation, Void Instantaneous Change, and True Thunder Extreme Change. Gang Qi Transformation, Void Instantaneous Change, and True Thunder Extreme Change are the 3 divine skills recorded in the Gang Yuan chapter, collectively known as the Gang Yuan 3 transformations. Trapped within the green leaf Great Formation, Yi Chen, having obtained the new techniques, exited again from the interior of the Starlight Tower, and his mind and spirit returned to his body. The more Yi Chen read about the 3 divine skills of the Gang Yuan 3 transformations, the brighter his eyes shone. Being dubbed divine skills, imagine how powerful these last three techniques are. Now, I'll start cultivating these three great techniques, the three great divine skills. Yi Chun, trapped within the green leaf great formation, urgently needed to increase his strength to face that Yanlinger. Having obtained new cultivation techniques, of course, Yi Chun was eager to cultivate and to quickly enhance his strength. After thoroughly comprehending all three divine skills, Yi Chun began his cultivation with the first transformation of Gang Yuan, the Gang Qi transformation. Following the spell of Gang Qi transformation, Yi Chun transported the Gang Yuan true Qi from his Qi Si to all parts of his body, circulating it in a peculiar manner for 33 revolutions. At that moment, Yi Chun suddenly felt his entire essence, Qi, and spirit undergo a sudden and dramatic change. Boom! 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 It was as if his essence, Qi, and spirit had been remolded, and his life level had been abruptly elevated. Every cell and every pore in his body was brimming with endless strength and boundless vitality. Furthermore, within the Qi Si, the 9 great Gang Yuan true Qi vortexes began to spin spontaneously, and even when Yi Chun took in a thread of heaven and earth true Qi into his Qi Si, this green heaven and earth true Qi no longer needed refinement. It would directly transform into the silver Gang Yuan true Qi, flying into the vortex of Gang Yuan true Qi. Even the range of Yi Chen's divine sense had seen another increase. Originally able to encompass a few hundred zhang in radius, his divine sense had now reached a range of 1,000 zhang. After cultivating the Gang Qi transformation, Gang Yuan true Qi nourished his entire body, essence, Qi, and spirit improved in all aspects, and his entire life level felt transformed. It was incredibly wonderful. This was the manifest divine efficacy of the Gang Qi transformation. This was indeed the sign of successful cultivation of the Gang Qi transformation. Yi Chun had a moment of sudden realization. No wonder he had received all three latter techniques at once. It turned out that this divine skill of the Gang Qi transformation, once set in motion, could be cultivated effortlessly to completion. And it was so miraculous. Gang Qi transformation is the first transformation of Gang Yuan. After the Gang Yuan true Qi circulates for 33 revolutions according to the spell, it is a direct success. Next, I'll start cultivating the second transformation of Gang Yuan, the void instantaneous change. With a thought, Yi Chun enveloped 1,000 zhang radius within his divine sense. This envelopment even allowed Yi Chun to see the outside of the green leaf great formation trapping him. He could see the full shape of the green leaf great formation that bound him, and even Yanlinger outside the formation. The spell of void instantaneous change says that once this divine skill is successfully cultivated, one can instantly move to any place enveloped by their divine sense. Once I've completed this cultivation of void instantaneous change, this green leaf great formation won't be able to trap me anymore. At this moment, Yi Chen's divine sense had already exceeded the range of the green leaf great formation, and of course, he could teleport outside the formation. Cultivate, complete the mastery of this divine skill, and Yanlinger will no longer be able to trap me. Yi Chun reigned in his delighted mind and spirit, calming himself down, and began to cultivate according to the divine skill cultivation method of void instantaneous change. This void instantaneous change involved engraving instantaneous movement law patterns within the divine sense. Once all the divine sense was engraved with instantaneous movement law patterns, he could teleport to any location that his divine sense could perceive. Within the green leaf great formation, Yi Chun began to engrave the instantaneous movement law patterns. 3 days later, Yi Chun suddenly rose from his meditation, observing the space of several hundred meters within the green leaf great formation. Yi Chun released his divine sense, completely enveloping this space of several hundred meters. Then, the Yi Chun who was sitting cross-legged on the ground disappeared in an instant, and in the next moment, he appeared high in the space of several hundred meters. In the next instant, Yi Chun, who was high in the air, vanished again, and directly reappeared in the farthest corner on the right. Instantaneous movement. This was indeed the manifestation of the divine power of instantaneous movement. After 3 days of cultivating void instantaneous change, and 3 days of engraving the instantaneous movement law patterns, Yichun had finally mastered the second divine power of the Gang Yuan 3 transformations. Now, the green leaf great formation that trapped Yichun no longer posed any obstacle to him. In fact, with just a thought and a teleport, Yichun could easily escape. However, Yichun didn't immediately leave the formation to challenge Yenlinger. Since there were still more than 10 days left in the 30 days of cultivation time, he was not in a hurry to challenge her. He wanted to increase his strength even further. Yichun once again began to cultivate the Gang Yuan third transformation, True Thunder Extreme Change. However, this time Yichun finally halted the heady momentum of his cultivation, realizing that he simply could not cultivate the True Thunder Extreme Change at this moment. Because the True Thunder Extreme Change required that the quantity of Gang Yuan True Qi in the Qi Si reached its limit and produced True Thunder Induction before it could attract the 9 Heavens True Thunder for cultivation. Currently, the Gang Yuan True Qi in Yichun's Qi Si had reached the level of 9 True Qi vortices and was far from having the quantity of True Qi reaching the limit in the Qi Si. I'm afraid that only by entering the True Qi realm's 12th layer and condensing 12 True Qi vortices in the Qi Si, will it be possible for the Qi Si to truly reach its limit and produce True Thunder Induction. Without True Thunder Induction, unable to cultivate True Thunder Extreme Change, for the time being, Yichun set aside the cultivation of this third transformation. This divine skill would be cultivated when the conditions were met. Now, although he had not successfully cultivated the True Thunder Extreme Change, the completion of the cultivation of Gang Qi Transformation and Void Instantaneous Change meant that Yichun had mastered all 4 layers of the Primordial Star Scripture's Gang Yuan chapter. Strength. Having mastered the 4 layers of cultivation technique, it's time to enhance my ultimate combat power. Yichun sat cross-legged in the green leaf great formation, starting to run the True Qi skills and cultivate True Qi. After completing the Gang Qi transformation, for every thread of heaven and earth True Qi he cultivated into the Qi Si, the Qi Si would have an additional thread of Gang Yuan True Qi, and Yichun's combat power would grow stronger. During the period of more than a year in the ancient God Tower, Yichun had not specifically cultivated True Qi because he feared that a high True Qi realm would make it difficult to quickly enter the Starlight Tower and obtain new cultivation techniques. After all, if he were at the True Qi 11th layer or 12th layer, the heaven and earth True Qi in the Qi Si would be too vast, and it would be impossible for him to transform all of it into Gang Yuan True Qi in a short time. He would not be able to meet the requirements of the Gang Yuan mantra, to refine all the True Qi into Gang Yuan True Qi, thus achieving the qualification to enter the Starlight Tower for the 3rd time. Now that Yichun had obtained the last 3 layers of the cultivation technique, he no longer had any concerns holding him back, and he could freely and unrestrainedly improve his True Qi cultivation level. Boom! Sitting cross-legged within the green leaf great formation, Yichun's Qi force, 8 extraordinary meridians, and 33 meridian wheels suddenly opened up, crazily sucking in the abundant heaven and earth True Qi from the 18th floor of the ancient God Tower. Without any reservation and preparing to begin improving his True Qi cultivation level, Yichun's cultivation caused countless streams of heaven and earth True Qi to be set in motion. Instantly, a vast sphere of Qi loomed above the green leaf great formation and then furiously drilled into the formation. This change had already caught the attention of Yenlinger, who was outside the formation. The True Qi is being stirred. Has Yichun started his True Qi cultivation? There are only 18 days left until the end of the 18th floor trial. Even if he cultivates a lot of True Qi, at most he could only advance to the 10th level of True Qi. How much can his combat power increase? I'm afraid he still doesn't have the strength to challenge me. Yenlinger shook her head as she watched the heaven and earth True Qi crazily pouring into the green leaf great formation. What she didn't know was that with the Gang Qi transformation, Yichun wasn't cultivating heaven and earth True Qi. He was cultivating Gang Yuan True Qi. Every stream of heaven and earth True Qi that he refined into his Qi Si would automatically transform into Gang Yuan True Qi, greatly speeding up the increase in Yichun's strength. The massive sphere of heaven and earth True Qi continuously hovered above the green leaf great formation. Inside the formation, Yichun began frenzied cultivation with this heaven and earth True Qi. Yichen's 9 true Qi vortices within his Qi sea grew larger and larger as more true Qi continuously flowed in. After 5 more days, which was 17 days into his cultivation on the 18th floor of the ancient God Tower, Yichen's 9 true Qi vortices finally reached the limit for accommodating true Qi. Boom! This time, the 9 true Qi vortices spun wildly. The numerous threads of silver Gang Yuan true Qi whirled frantically inside, and at last, he managed to spin out the 10th true Qi vortex. True Qi level 10. No longer suppressing his true Qi cultivation, Yichen, who had lain dormant within true Qi level 9 for a long time, had accumulated a substantial reserve of true Qi from the past days and, combined with these 5 days of intense cultivation, finally broke into true Qi level 10. At true Qi level 10, Yichen's Qi Sea now had 10 large Gang Yuan true Qi vortices. Now his strength had once again leaped forward compared to before. After reaching true Qi level 10, Yichen did not stop cultivating. Although there were still 13 days left to cultivate on the 18th floor, he couldn't potentially make one push to rush into true Qi level 11. However, Yichen also had a treasure he had never used before, the small spirit pill. Originally exchanged at the myriad treasure stele at the periphery of the secret realm, the small spirit pills could directly enhance a martial artist's cultivation by 1 level within the true Qi realm. Previously, Yichen had been suppressing his true Qi cultivation and didn't want to have too much heaven and earth true Qi in his body, as turning all of it into Gang Yuan true Qi was too time-consuming, so he had never used the small spirit pill. Now, Yichen no longer had this concern and could smoothly use the small spirit pill to break into true Qi level 11. Swoosh! No sooner said than done. Having decided to charge towards true Qi level 11, Yichen, without any hesitation, summoned with a thought. A small box flew directly out of the ethereal spirit ring, located at his thumb, and Yichen caught the small box in his hand. As the box opened, a pill with a faint halo, a milky white and round in shape, appeared within. The small spirit pill. This was indeed the small spirit pill capable of enhancing a level of cultivation. Yichen opened his mouth and inhaled. The small spirit pill from the box whooshed straight into Yichen's mouth. Then Yichen closed his eyes and began to refine the pill's efficacy. As Yichen was refining the small spirit pill, outside the green leaf great formation, countless streams of heaven and earth true Qi furiously surged towards the space above the formation, crazily rushing towards Yichen within. This volume of true Qi even blanketed a radius of thousands of feet, increasing the quantity by several tens of times more than when Yichen had initially self-cultivated true Qi. What's happening? Seeing the wildly converging heaven and earth true Qi above the green leaf great formation, Linger stood up in shock. Pills. Yichen is using pills to enhance his true Qi cultivation level. It seems he is bringing out all his methods to increase his strength. It looks like he still wants to fight with me, not willing to concede defeat. Yichen, I'll be waiting for you. I'm curious to see, with just 30 days of cultivation time, whether you can improve to a level where you can defeat me. Linger watched the green leaf great formation waiting. This wait did not take long. Just a day later, a loud bang suddenly came from within the green leaf great formation. The 6 massive green leaves of the entire green leaf great formation were violently lifted and flung by a force, breaking apart. A young man leaped into the air from inside the formation and flew out. Yichen, you've finally broken my 6 leaves heavenly lock array and come out. Linger smiled faintly as she watched the young man fly out. The young man who flew out of the 6 leaves heavenly lock array was indeed Yichen. Now, having completed the cultivation of the 2 great divine powers of the primordial star scripture, after enduring the hardships of true Qi cultivation and refining the efficacy of the small spirit pill, Yichen had officially advanced to true Qi level 11. Come on, Linger, let's have another showdown. A final battle on the 18th floor of the ancient God Tower. Yichen looked at Linger, his eyes radiating immense confidence. This time, he would definitely not be defeated by Linger's hands again. Chapter 136, The Ultimate Battle. A final battle at the 18th floor of the ancient God Tower? Linger smiled faintly, seeing the self-confidence shining in Yichen's eyes. All right, Let me try and see just how much your strength has improved these days. Yenlinger soared into the sky, where the 6 huge green leaves that Yi-chan had wildly sent flying now flew in front of her. They shrank rapidly and, together with the 7th green leaf that Yenlinger had never used, once again transformed into the green leaf protection formation, slowly rotating in front of her. At that moment, the silver wind thunder wings also emerged behind Yi-chan. As the wings unfurled, he too flew up into the sky, facing Yenlinger from several tens of meters away. The two once again faced off in the sky, ready to begin their clash. When Yi-chan sent flying the green leaves and broke free from the grand formation, ready to challenge Yenlinger once more, the spirit of the sacred artifact and the golden monkey waiting outside the ancient god tower became excited. Yi-chan had not disappointed them. He indeed broke the green leaf great formation and was indeed about to make a move again. Yi-chan is the calmest and most composed young man I've ever seen. Since he has chosen to make a move again, he must be confident of victory. Could it be that after practicing here on the 18th floor for more than 10 days, his strength has once again improved? Even improved to the point where he is confident in winning against the final floor's guardian? The spirit of the sacred artifact looked forward with great anticipation to Yi-chan facing Yenlinger in the sky, eager to witness the display of his more powerful strength. Ya! Ya! The golden monkey was also holding its tiny fists, calling out to Yi-chan inside the tower, its bright eyes gleaming with spiritual light, seemingly cheering Yi-chan on. Inside the ancient god tower within the 18th floor sky, Yenlinger, her eyes clear as crystal, gazed at Yi-chan opposite her and gently smiled after sensing the change in Yi-chan's aura. Yi-chan, so you've advanced to the 11th level of the realm of true qi. To be able to ascend 2 minor levels in such a short time, that's indeed not bad. However, if you think this alone is enough to defeat me, it's still far from sufficient. Yi-chan, first see if you can withstand my 7 leaves heavenly lock array, which I have never used against anyone in the true qi realm. As Yenlinger's light laughter sounded, the 7 blue leaves around her disappeared at once, and suddenly, 7 towering green leaves arose around Yi-chan, sweeping toward him to envelop him completely. This was none other than the green leaf grand formation that had previously trapped and attempted to kill Yi-chan, now reactivated. But this time, the formation was more powerful than before, with all 7 of Yenlinger's protective green leaves being invoked, unleashing the great power of the sky-locking formation. This 7 leaves heavenly lock array could even trap and kill mid-stage Spirit Sea realm powerhouses. If Yi-chan hadn't practiced the Gang Chi transformation and void instantaneous change from the primordial star scripture's Gang Yuan chapter, he wouldn't have been able to withstand even the 6 leaves heavenly lock array, let alone the 7 leaves heavenly lock array. But now, this sky-locking array could no longer trap Yi-chan. As the 7 massive green leaves crazily swept toward Yi-chan, a huge protective true qi, taller than 90 meters, suddenly burst forth from around him. As the giant protective true qi emerged, a vast sword shadow instantly formed, slicing directly towards the 7 massive green leaves. This colossal sword shadow was none other than the Sword of Slaughter, formed from Slaughter Sword Intent, and further powered by the unparalleled Gang Yuan true qi from Yi-chan's 11 true qi vortices, making the power of this immense sword shadow incomprehensibly potent. Boom! Boom! The vast sword shadow, like a blade that could split the heavens, blocked 3 of the massive green leaves, while Yi-chan sprouted silver wings from his back and soared into the sky, breaking free from the entrapment of the 7 leaves heavenly lock array. After the surge of Gang Yuan true qi, Yi-chan could break Yenlinger's skylocking grand formation without even using the void instant change divine skills. Your true qi is actually so dense. Can this special true qi really improve so much in such a short time? Yenlinger, witnessing Yi-chan breaking her entrapment so quickly, and seeing the billowing silver Gang Yuan true qi around him, expressed surprise on her face. She had long noticed the marvel of Yi-chan's true qi, but she could never have imagined that in just over 10 days, Yi-chan could cultivate such powerful divine energy. No wonder you are confident in challenging me. Yi-chan. Now you truly have the strength for a real battle with me. This time, the faint smile had vanished from Yenlinger's face, turning solemn instead. Swoosh! With a wave of her hand, the 7 massive green leaves shrank back and flew into her palm. Meanwhile, a green leaf spiritual pattern in the shape of a leaf suddenly emerged on Yenlinger's forehead, and an endless surge of green true qi explosively shot out from her body. This was the first time Yenlinger had activated the true qi within her body. Clearly, seeing that the 7 leaves heavenly lock array couldn't trap Yichun, Yenlinger prepared to use other means to take action. Boom! In an instant, the true qi around Yenlinger burst upwards more than 90 meters high. This green true qi, unlike ordinary heaven and earth true qi, even had streaks of divine marvel fire-red color mixed within it. In the midst of Yenlinger's outburst of true qi, Yichun felt a thrilling and terrifying killing force coming his way, indicating that the true qi cultivated by Yenlinger was also extraordinary. In the sky above, once Yenlinger's true qi surged forth, she, in her elegant white attire with her waterfall-like black hair fluttering behind her, and the green leaf spiritual pattern on her forehead flickering ceaselessly, managed to levitate in the void with just her realm of true qi, truly giving off the aura of a fairy from the upper realm. Yichun, let's see whether your special true qi or my green flame true qi, transformed in the flame god pool, is superior. In a white dress, with her hair fluttering, Yenlinger, appearing like an ethereal fairy, spun around and, with peerless true qi, burst towards Yichun. The path she took across the sky left behind a long trail of green smoky flame, and the trace of divine marvel fire-red color within the green true qi even caused the air to burn into nothingness. Swish! Swish! In an instant, Yenlinger crossed the sky like lightning, fiercely charging at Yichun. Green flame true qi. Good. Let's put it to the test then, whether your green flame true qi or my Gangyuan true qi is stronger. Without any attempt to dodge, Yichun spread the wind thunder wings behind him and, along with the swirling silver Gangyuan true qi outside his body, met Yenlinger head-on. Boom! Boom! In the sky, one side was Yenlinger's overwhelming and fiery true qi, capable of burning even the air, reaching more than 90 meters high, and on the other was the silver luminescence of Yichun's true qi, also more than 90 meters high, filled with the formidable power of extreme Gangyuan. Almost in the blink of an eye, these two colossal forces of incredible true qi collided with each other fiercely. In an instant, the entire sky surged with boundless qi light, and the colossal power of true qi struck the vast heavens and earth of the 18th layer, with the shockwaves even tearing terrible cracks in the very ground. At the core of the true qi collision, endless green gleams and flashes of flame erupted, with the unmatched silver luminescence of Gangyuan brilliantly shining. Boom! 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 In a moment, Yichun and Yenlinger exchanged hundreds of moves amidst the massive collision of true qi. During the exchange, Yenlinger's fearsome green true qi gradually ignited with the red hue within it. Eventually, all her true qi even transformed into a fiery red true qi. This fiery red true qi furiously burned towards Yichun's Gangyuan true qi, in an attempt to incinerate it completely. However, at this moment, the silver gleam on Yichun's Gangyuan true qi shone brightly, staunchly resisting the terrible true qi that could even burn the air. Gangyuan true qi, a higher quality energy than the heaven and earth true qi and cultivated from the primordial star scripture. How could it be burned away by Yenlinger's true qi? In a direct frontal clash, in a direct comparison of true qi, Yichun firmly withstood Yenlinger's frontal assault, not losing ground in the slightest. When both of their true qi were stimulated to unimaginable levels, the whole sky for hundreds of yards all around was shrouded in the glow of true qi. Yet, relying on a competition of true qi, neither could overpower the other. Boom! At this time, Yenlinger in the void suddenly burst towards the sky, her eyes slowly closing. In the instant she closed her eyes, her forehead's green leaf spiritual pattern suddenly flowed with both green and red colors. As the spiritual pattern flowed, Yenlinger's eyes opened once more, and in the instant she opened her eyes, Her crystal-like pupils also flickered with green and red lights. Yenlinger's gaze shifted to Yi-chan as she said softly, "Yi-chan, in such a short time, the improvement in your strength truly surprised me. Next, I won't waste any more time. Let's see if you can withstand my real, most powerful method." As Yenlinger spoke, her snow-white hands rapidly formed Dharma seals, and in an instant, a huge green light seal spanning hundreds of yards appeared in the sky. The moment the massive green light seal formed, it burst forth explosively, transforming into 10 smaller green light seals. Crack! Bang! Then, the green light seals continued to explode, and after bursting 3 times in succession, the number of green light seals in the void had reached as many as 1,000. 1,000 green light seals, dense and numerous, suspended in the void. Suspended in front of Yenlinger. Chapter 137. Slaying through the ancient god tower. What is this? Yi-chun eyed the dense mass of green light seals in front of Zhang Yao, instantly on guard. He released his divine sense, enveloping the area within 1,000 feet in its scope. Zhang Yao said she was about to utilize her strongest method, a method that must certainly be extraordinary, and Yi-chun would not take it lightly. After all, Zhang Yao hailed from the minor spirit realm and had dominated millions of True Qi realm warriors in the True Qi realm competition, seizing first place and becoming the mightiest figure to guard the highest level of the ancient god tower. Yi-chun naturally had to be cautious in his response. Sure enough, once the 1,000 green light seals had fully formed, Zhang Yao pinched a spell with her hands, and a flash of fiery red light burst forth from the light seals, causing them to vanish in an instant. Subsequently, all around Yi-chen's body, dense green light seals suddenly emerged. As these seals formed, Yi-chen felt as if the surrounding void was sealed off, trapping him within this expanse of Dharma seals. Yi-chen, the 7 leaves heavenly lock array I used before was merely an array to trap the enemy. Now my green flame burning sky formation is a true killing array. Even mid-stage warriors of the Spirit Sea realm would be annihilated instantly if they fell into the array. However, Yi-chun, rest assured, as the ancient god tower serves as a tower of trials and won't take your life, but should you face a lethal crisis you cannot withstand, the tower will automatically transport you out. Yi-chun, my array is set. Prepare to be transported out of the tower. As Zhang Yao's voice echoed, the sky around Yi-chun filled with green Dharma seals connected by strange beams of light, and at that moment, 1,000 green Dharma seals were interlinked with weird beams. At the instant the weird beams connected, a vast formation of Dharma seals ignited with raging flames. These flames were the burning spirit true fire, taken by Zhang Yao from the flame god pool in the mystic land of the Yen clan in the minor spirit realm. This true fire could even incinerate high-grade spiritual artifacts, its power unmatched. Watching Yi-chun ensnared in the grand formation of Dharma seals, Zhang Yao believed that he could not withstand it. This was Zhang Yao's true trump card, and she had absolute confidence in it. Boom! As the grand formation of Dharma seals burst into intense flames of burning spirit true fire, Zhang Yao, gazing towards the center of the formation, let out a cry of disbelief, because she suddenly realized Yi-chun had disappeared from inside the grand formation. From setting up the array to activating the burning spirit true fire within it, all happened in an instant. During that split second, Yi-chun had vanished without a trace. This completely shocked Zhang Yao. What Zhang Yao didn't know was that Yi-chen's divine sense had already covered a range of 1,000 feet outside his body. The moment he saw the peculiar seals instantly appear around him, Yi-chun sensed something strangely similar to his own void instantaneous change, divine skill. However, obviously, Zhang Yao's Dharma seal grand formation was not as potent as the void instantaneous change. It simply laid the formation within several hundred feet outside Yi-chen's body. When he saw the grand formation ablaze, Yi-chen's divine sense stirred, instantly moving him outside of the formation. With the void instantaneous change divine skill, Yi-chun could instantly move anywhere within 1,000 feet. So naturally, a grand formation spanning just several hundred feet could not contain him. In Zhang Yao's incredulous gaze, Yi Chun appeared in the sky outside the grand formation of Dharma seals. As soon as Jiang Yao saw Yi Chen's figure reemerge, already out of the array, she pinched a spell, and green Dharma seals in the void once again swooped toward Yi Chun. But in the instant the green Dharma seals vanished, Yi Chun disappeared again. By the time Yi Chun reappeared, he was already behind Jiang Yao. Swish! From the flying sword palace between Yi Chen's brows, the crimson fire sword burst forth, shooting straight at Jiang Yao from behind. Yi Chun not only evaded the annihilation of the array twice, but also instantaneously moved behind Jiang Yao to counterattack. When the crimson fire sword struck towards Jiang Yao's back, it was as if she had eyes there. The green leaf spiritual pattern between her brows flashed, and 7 green leaves suddenly appeared behind her, blocking the sudden assault of the crimson fire sword. Although she blocked the sword's assault, when Jiang Yao turned her delicate body and saw Yi Chun, her entire eyes were filled with disbelief. Instantaneous movement. Yi Chun, you've actually mastered instantaneous movement divine skills. As the princess of the Yen clan of the Minor Spirit Realm and granddaughter of the great ancient emperor of the Yen clan, Jiang Yao certainly knew of instantaneous movement divine skills. However, such divine skills were usually only possible for rotating pill realm warriors who could sense the 5 elements of heaven and earth, or heavenly saint realm warriors who cultivated space laws. Jiang Yao had never seen such a divine skill on someone in the true Qi realm. Even among Spirit Sea realm warriors, there was no one who could learn such a divine skill. Now, with Yi Chun capable of instantaneous movement freely in space, it naturally shocked Jiang Yao immensely. With instantaneous movement divine skills, no matter how powerful her green flame burning sky formation was, she could not confine Yi Chun, and even less so when Yi Chun fully deployed his instantaneous movement divine skills, leaving Jiang Yao no chance to avoid his sudden assault. After all, from their previous true Qi confrontation, Jiang Yao knew that Yi Chen's true Qi was in no way inferior to hers, and even Yi Chen's sword attack just now had not been made with his full strength. What Jiang Yao didn't know was Yi Chen's instantaneous movement differed from those who cultivated space laws. It wasn't based on the perception of space to accomplish instantaneous movement. Yi Chen's instantaneous movement was a unique divine skill from the primordial star scriptures Gang Yuan chapter. By inscribing instantaneous movement law patterns with his divine sense, Yi Chun could instantly shift to any location engulfed by his divine sense. And as his divine sense continued to grow, so too would the range of his instantaneous movement. Having acquired Gang Qi transformation, the Gang Yuan true Qi within Yi Chen's Qi Sea surged wildly, endowing Yi Chun with enough combat power to match Princess Yen Linger. With void instantaneous change at his disposal, Yi Chun could instantly move within a radius of 1,000 yards at will, giving him a means to surpass Yen Linger. This was the reason why Yi Chun faced Princess Yen Linger again with boundless confidence. Now, Yi Chun would no longer be trapped by Yen Linger, nor would he be defeated by her again. In the sky, seeing Yen Linger's astonished expression, Yi Chun smiled at her. Princess Yen Linger, would you care for another battle? Yen Linger's eyes gazed at Yi Chun, and finally, a wry smile appeared on her delicate face. No need, Yi Chun. With your instantaneous movement technique, my divine sense illusion at the true Qi realm is definitely no match for you. Yi Chun, I admit defeat. You are truly too powerful. Even in the minor spirit realm, I have never seen a young man as miraculous as you. As she said this, Yen Linger's eyes shone brightly. Now that you have defeated me, you've also conquered all challenges and guardians of the entire 18 floors of the ancient God Tower. My grandfather once said that if anyone could break through all 18 floors of the ancient God Tower and cut their way through the entire Divine Tower, they would be eligible to cultivate in the ancient lands of the Yen clan within the minor spirit realm. Yi Chun, you have indeed cut through the ancient God Tower. Are you willing to join our Yen clan and enter our ancient lands for cultivation? Yearning lit up in Yen Linger's eyes as she looked at Yi Chun, who was merely 15 years old and already so powerful. If he truly were to cultivate in the minor spirit realm, his future achievements would be immeasurable. Join the Yen clan? Enter the ancient lands? Yi Chun was slightly startled. Yen Linger giggled. Although what's left in this ancient god tower is just a divine sense illusion of mine from over 3,000 years ago. Yet, my grandfather is the master of this ancient god tower, and I possess divine skills that can communicate with my true body in the minor spirit realm. Right now, my true body is in the minor spirit realm. If you're willing, I can even have my true body ask my grandfather to use the great void shifting technique to directly transport you into the minor spirit realm. Looking into Yen Linger's bright and sparkling eyes, Yi Chun felt somewhat tempted. However, his thoughts immediately turned to his parents, to Jiang Yao who was waiting for him at the Taishan sect for the mysterious appointment, and to many other concerns he couldn't leave behind. If he were to go to the minor spirit realm, what would become of his parents? What about Jiang Yao? Princess Yen Linger, if I go to this minor spirit realm you speak of, may I bring others with me? Asked Yi Chun. Others? Yen Linger shook her head. No, our Yen clan cannot be casually entered by just anyone. Seemingly considering Yi Chen's concerns, Yen Linger smiled again. Yi Chen, you're worried about your parents, aren't you? Don't worry. Once you cultivate to the heavenly saint realm within our Yen clan, when the next 3,000-year spatial rift opens, you can return to the barbaric wilderness continent to see them. I can ask my grandfather to bestow life-divine pills upon your parents, extending their lifespan to over 3,000 years. Yen Linger's words were indeed tempting, but Yi Chun shook his head. If he were not in the barbaric wilderness continent, and too far from his parents, even if they lived for 3,000 years, they might still feel exceedingly lonely. Besides, he was also concerned about Jiang Yao and his clansmen. Many things prevented him from leaving the barbaric wilderness continent so carefully to directly venture into the minor spirit realm. I cannot go to the minor spirit realm right now, but I truly appreciate your kind offer, Princess Yen Linger, Yi Chun said with a smile. Hearing that Yi Chun was not willing to cultivate in the ancient lands of the Yen clan, Yen Linger let out a sigh. However, she soon smiled again. Actually, I was too hasty. Perhaps it isn't quite appropriate for you to go to the minor spirit realm at this time. Within the minor spirit realm, it is not as tranquil as the barbarian wilderness continent. There are many heavenly saint realm powerhouses there. Although your talents are extraordinary, it would be far too dangerous for you in the minor spirit realm. Even my true body, under my grandfather's protection, has faced several life and death crises. Perhaps, it would be better to wait until you are stronger before going to the minor spirit realm. Yen Linger's small face turned towards Yi Chun, speaking with a smile. Yi Chun nodded. Indeed, the minor spirit realm, being the supreme spiritual realm of 33 continents including the barbaric wilderness continent, was bound to be perilous. Now, after enduring over a year of arduous cultivation in the ancient god tower, Yi Chen's strength had soared to a level where he could overpower mid-stage Spirit Sea realm experts. Yet, there were still countless stronger individuals out there. One careless step could lead to his demise. It really wasn't quite suitable for him to venture into the minor spirit realm at this time. Yi Chun, even if you don't go to the minor spirit realm to cultivate in the ancient lands now, my grandfather's promise will always hold true. Yen Linger spoke up. I will now connect with my true body and grace you with the ancient token of the Yen clan. Whenever you wish to go to the minor spirit realm, simply activate the ancient token, and my true body will know. At that time, she will bring you into the minor spirit realm. As Yen Linger spoke, she descended to the ground and sat down cross-legged. Communicate with the true body, grant me the ancient token of the Yen clan, and when I wish to go to the minor spirit realm, Yen Linger's true body will bring me there. When the time is right, it would indeed be nice to take a look at the minor spirit realm. Such an offer Yi Chun would naturally not refuse. Even if he never went to the minor spirit realm, having the ancient token of the Yen clan would pose no issue. And if he truly wished to visit the minor spirit realm, the ancient token would make it much more convenient for him. Yi Chun looked towards Yen Linger, ready to see how she would communicate with her true body far in the minor spirit realm. Chapter 138 Leaving the Pass. Sitting cross-legged on the floor of the 18th layer of the ancient god tower, Yen Linger slowly closed her eyes. In her hands she formed an unknown spell. As she was shaping the spell, the entire 18th layer of the ancient god tower suddenly burst into endless light, which set the entirety of the tower humming loudly. From outside the ancient god tower, it was clear to see that the entire 18th layer was shining with endless purple light. The wondrous events did not stop there. Following the illumination of the 18th layer in endless purple light, the 17th layer too started to shine brightly with the same endless purple light. Then came the 16th layer, the 15th layer, the 14th layer. Yi Chun, who was challenging the ancient god tower in the opposite direction, watched as the tower lit up from top to bottom under the control of Yenlinger's spell. At last, all 18 layers of the thousands of feet high ancient god tower burst into an endless purple radiance. This is the spirit of the sacred artifact, and the golden monkey outside of the ancient god tower were taken aback by this earth-shattering anomaly. Then, an ecstatic expression appeared on the face of the spirit of the sacred artifact. This is the phenomenon when the ancient god tower is completely conquered. Yi Chun has defeated the 18th floor's guardian. He has completely conquered the ancient god tower, and this is the tower signaling an astonishing phenomenon, likely for the owner of the ancient god tower to see. When Heavenly Saint Dekong once obtained the ancient god tower, he found a description of the scene that would occur when someone completely conquered the tower. It was exactly as the tower was displaying now. The spirit of the sacred artifact, who had spent long years with Heavenly Saint Dekong, of course understood the mystery of the phenomenon that would appear when someone conquered the tower. Previously, the spirit of the sacred artifact, peering towards the 18th floor, had witnessed Yi Chen's miraculous technique of instantaneous position change and had seen the surprised expression on Yenlinger's face. When he saw that Yi Chun was able to attack Yenlinger at will, he knew she was at a disadvantage. Although he couldn't hear Yenlinger conceding defeat to Yi Chun from outside the tower, this earth-shattering phenomenon of the ancient god tower let him know that Yi Chun really did defeat Yenlinger and had passed through all 18 levels of the ancient tower. Yi Chun truly accomplished the miracle of completely conquering the entire ancient god tower. Yi Chun is coming out. After traversing all 18 levels of the ancient god tower, Yi Chun is finally leaving the ancient god tower. Little guy, you're about to be taken out of the ancestral land's secret realm soon. I will have completed all of the old master's arrangements. The spirit of the sacred artifact excitedly said to the golden monkey at his side. Eek! Eek! Understanding the spirit of the sacred artifact's words, the golden monkey blinked its shiny black eyes and jumped up excitedly too. Not only were the spirit of the sacred artifact and the golden monkey shocked and overjoyed. As each layer of the ancient god tower lit up, flashing with mysterious purple light, the guardians of the tower's different layers appeared out of thin air. These guardians, in the first 14 layers, were illusion puppets created by the ancient emperor of the Yen clan, the owner of the tower. Though killed by Yi Chun, if the tower experienced any anomaly, they would still be resurrected. To the phenomenon engulfing the ancient god tower, these illusion puppets wouldn't pay too much mind. However, the three great guardians on the 15th, 16th, and 17th layers were completely stunned. By this time, Luo Chenxue of the 15th layer, Barbarian Thunder of the 16th, and the gray-clothed youth Mo Yunsong of the 17th all had their mouths open, displaying an incredulous look. The ancient god tower has been conquered? The trialist managed to go through all 18 levels of the ancient god tower. Even Princess Yenlinger, the strongest guardian of the 18th floor, was unable to stop him? The three of them could hardly believe it. You see, when they, together with Yenlinger, were among the top 4 in the True Qi realm competition, their spiritual thoughts were used by the ancient emperor of the Yen clan with great divine power to create countless spiritual illusion puppets, which were placed across all 99 ancient god towers. Although their illusions might be defeated, their spiritual thoughts would live on indefinitely. The three were aware of Yenlinger's strength. She was unrivaled at the True Qi realm competition. Although they had been defeated by Yi Chun, they could never have imagined that even Yenlinger, who had won the competition, had also been defeated by Yi Chun. This was completely beyond their imagination, but they had no choice but to believe it. The astonishing phenomenon of the ancient god tower was telling them that the trialist they had faced had created a miracle that had never occurred before. While everyone was still shocked, after all 18 layers of the ancient god tower lit up, the endless purple light shot up towards the sky. As the endless purple light reached into the sky, suddenly, from the body of Yen Linger, who was sitting cross-legged in the 18th layer, a purple spirit talisman flew out, merging into the stream of endless purple light. Finally, all the purple light vanished at the highest point in the space of the ancient god tower. The minor spirit realm is a vast world beyond measure. Its vastness even exceeds that of the barbaric wilderness continent by more than 100 times. There are countless forces entrenched within the minor spirit realm, abundant with strong beings, but the strongest are the 6 ancient clans of the realm. At this moment, in the northern domain of the vast world of the minor spirit realm, there lies a chain of mystical mountains concealed among clouds and mist. These celestial mountains floated in the air, suspended randomly amidst the clouds, full of mystery. This place is the domain of the Yen clan, one of the 6 ancient clans of the minor spirit realm, a name that turns countless strong beings pale upon hearing it. Chapter 139. At this moment, atop a giant floating mountain that towered over 10,000 feet, a stunningly beautiful woman was sitting in meditation. Suddenly, the breathtakingly beautiful woman opened her eyes and looked towards the clouds and mist swirling among the cliffs below. If Yi Chun were to see the face of this beautiful woman, he would certainly realize that she bore an uncanny resemblance to the young girl Yen Linger he had battled. Yet she appeared much more mature than Yen Linger. This mesmerizing woman was none other than the heavenly saintess Yen Linger, a name that echoed with fame throughout the entire barbaric wilderness continent. She was also the real entity of the spiritual doppelganger that Yen Linger had left on the 18th floor of the ancient god tower. More than 3,000 years had passed, and the invincible true Qi realm expert of the past had now cultivated to the realm of a heavenly saint, and within that realm, she had reached an incredibly formidable level. At this time, the heavenly saintess Yen Linger looked at the clouds and mist in the valleys below, and suddenly, she extended her fair palm and grasped into the void. A purple spirit talisman fell into her hand. An ancient god tower spirit talisman? Could it be a message from the spiritual doppelganger I left in the ancient god tower? Heavenly saintess Yen Linger pressed the spirit talisman against her forehead and slowly closed her beautiful eyes. After a long while, when she opened her eyes again, a mysterious light flashed in them. I never imagined, after more than 3,000 years, someone would finally be able to defeat the spiritual doppelganger I had left in the ancient god tower. Yi Chun. It turns out to be a 15-year-old boy, and he's from the barbaric wilderness continent. He managed to learn instantaneous movement in the true Qi realm, and even the true Qi he cultivated is incredibly unique. The heavenly saintess Yen Linger revealed a look of interest. What a pity. I am currently breaking through to the void sky true god realm and cannot afford to venture to the lower realm. Let's pass the ancient flame order to him for now. If he doesn't come to the minor spirit realm, perhaps one day, I can go down to the lower realm to see this incredible young man. On the slender fingers of the heavenly saintess Yen Linger was a purple ring, and as she murmured to herself, a palm-sized blue-purple command token flew out from inside the purple ring. This blue-purple command token had the character Flame engraved on the front, and the back depicted the many floating peaks and immortal mountains of the ancient Flame Clan lands. Surrounding the entire blue-purple command token was a faint mystical purple light, making it seem extraordinarily exceptional. After running her fingers over the token for a moment, heavenly saintess Yen Linger flicked the token into the midst of the clouds and mist in the valley. As soon as the ancient token entered the clouds and mist, it shone with a purple light and disappeared into thin air. Just moments before, the ancient token had vanished within the clouds and mist surrounding the floating mountain peak of the ancient Flame Clan lands in the minor spirit realm. The next moment, a colossal void opened in the sky above the 18th floor of the ancient god tower. Boom! As Yi Chun looked towards this gaping void, he could see clouds and mist within, and even a mountain so huge it was unfathomable above the clouds. For an instant, he saw a stunning figure sitting atop the mountain. He also felt that the resplendent figure glanced at him in startled wonder. Afterward, The void closed once again, leaving only an ancient token enveloped in a purple light falling downward. Is this the ancient flame order? Yi-chun stretched out his hand to catch the ancient token, examining it closely. At that moment, he heard the faint laughter of Yenlinger in his ear. Yes, Yi-chun. This is the ancient flame order, passed to you from my true self in the minor spirit realm. With it, traveling to the minor spirit realm in the future will be much more convenient for you. Inside the ancient god tower, Yi-chun and Yenlinger received the ancient flame order that the heavenly saintess Yenlinger had sent through the void from the minor spirit realm. Outside the ancient god tower, the spirit of the sacred artifact and a golden monkey awaited Yi-chun, who had made it through the entire tower, to come out. At the same time, many others were also waiting for Yi-chun. Taishan sect, outside a cave abode on a mountain, a 12 or 13-year-old sword-carrying girl was sitting cross-legged on the ground. She occasionally glanced anxiously toward the closed doors of the cave. Sister Jiang Yao has been in secluded cultivation for so long. The selection for the true disciples of Taishan sect is about to start. Sister said she would definitely leave seclusion before Yi-chun arrives at Taishan sect. The day of selection is approaching, so Sister should be coming out soon, right? The murmuring sword-carrying girl lifted her gaze toward the direction of Qingyang City again. I wonder how Yi-chen's cultivation is going. Can he defeat so many genius disciples from the outer sect and break into the top 3? If he can't make it into the top 3 and join Taishan sect, Sister Jiang Yao will be so heartbroken. This murmuring sword-carrying girl was Chan'er, the girl who had seen Yi-chun at Qingyun sect and had the closest relationship with Jiang Yao. Meanwhile, inside the cave abode, a stunningly beautiful girl wearing a goose-yellow dress was sitting cross-legged in cultivation. Her hair fell like a waterfall to her waist, and her pristine skin, delicate face, straight nose, rosy lips, and the faint dimples that appeared when she slightly smiled were all intoxicating. At this moment, her eyes, as clear as stars, were tightly closed. Her long eyelashes quivered above her eyes, creating an indescribable sense of purity. This girl was Jiang Yao, who was in the process of attempting to advance to the middle stage of the Spirit Sea Realm and had also been waiting for Yi-chun to come to Taishan sect. Yi-chun, please come out quickly. Hurry up and emerge from the ancestral secret realm. Outside the ancestral land of the 3 great families, Bai Xiaodai was looking frantically into the land, her face full of panic. She had been waiting outside the ancestral land for 3 or 4 days, never leaving. Yi-chen, if you don't come out, grandfather, he might just... Thinking of this, Bai Xiaodia's fingers were clenched so tightly that they turned bloodless. Bai Xiaodia's grandfather was none other than Patriarch Bai of the Bai family, who had been in a coma for over a month since being injured by Si Kongmiao of Wanya Mountain's 3 great rogue cultivators. During this time, his condition had become increasingly severe, with even his life force slipping away continuously. The 3 families had not expected the condition of the patriarch to deteriorate so rapidly. Seeing him like this made them think bitterly of those 3 rogue cultivators from Wanya Mountain who they detested to the core. The trio had continuously stolen treasures from the young explorers of the ancestral land, shattered the great hopes of the 3 clans, and injured or killed their martial artists. Even Patriarch Bai was gravely injured and in a coma, his condition getting worse by the day. The 3 families had summoned countless physicians, and Bai Xiaodai even called upon a Spirit Sea Realm expert from her sect, Peach Blossom Valley, to treat Patriarch Bai to no avail. The Spirit Sea Realm expert even said that Patriarch Bai had been sabotaged during the attack, his life force shattered, leaving no hope for recovery. Upon hearing this, all members of the 3 clans felt like they had been struck by lightning out of the blue. They couldn't believe that their patriarch would pass away like this. They didn't want to believe it. As for Bai Xiaodai, she was utterly shell-shocked. If it hadn't been for her thoughts of Yi-chun, the memory of him exchanging for the life origin pill at the Myriad Treasure Steel, a pill that could restore all vitality loss of a martial artist, and seeing her grandfather's impending death, she might have gone mad. The life origin pill could awaken her grandfather. Bai Xiaodai believed that as long as Yi-chun returned from the ancestral secret realm, he would undoubtedly be willing to use the life origin pill to save her grandfather. Therefore, she kept waiting for Yi Chen's return. She kept praying that Yi Chen would return before her grandfather could hold on no longer. Amidst the anticipation of the spirit of the sacred artifact and the golden monkey, Chaner and Jiang Yao's waiting, and by Xiaodie's waiting. On this day, when the 18th floor ordeal of the ancient god tower came to an end, Yi Chen was finally teleported out. Having faced the trials of all 18 floors of the ancient god tower, having benefited from the acceleration of time within, and having spent more than a year of arduous cultivation to advance his true Qi realm to the 11th level, as well as achieving major gains in his techniques, Yi Chen, after acquiring the ancient flame order and bidding farewell to heavenly saintess Yen Linger, emerged from the tower. Chapter 140 Yi Chen returns. The opportunity of the ancient god tower has finally come to an end. Yi Chen, who was transmitted outside the ancient god tower, looked back at the immensely gigantic 18-story ancient tower, his eyes twinkling with sharp light. Inside the ancient god tower, he had stayed a total of 540 days, yet only 54 days had passed outside. With the time compression opportunity of the ancient god tower, he had cultivated for over 400 days more than everyone else. This precious extra cultivation time had allowed him to advance from the 7th level of true Qi to the 11th level. It allowed him to transform from mastering 3 sword intents to comprehending all 4 sword intents, evolving to possess the even more powerful slaughter sword intent, and the 9 transformation fighting body. And his cultivation of the crimson fire flying sword had made significant progress. What was even more precious was that Yi Chen had once again gained the 3 divine skills and transformations of the primordial star scripture, Gang Yuan 3 transformations. Yi Chen's strength had far surpassed what it was before. Now, although he still could not compete with a rotating pill realm powerhouse, sweeping through mid-stage Spirit Sea realm powerhouses became incredibly easy, and even facing late-stage Spirit Sea realm powerhouses, he had the power to fight. Even if he could not match them in strength with void instantaneous change, he could directly escape. Yi Chen had finally made himself more powerful once again. For the upcoming Taishan rendezvous, competing with the genius disciples of the Taishan sect outer sect for the first spot in the true disciple selection, Yi Chen had absolute confidence. He could hardly wait to see Jiang Yao, and he could hardly wait to leave the secret realm to see his father and mother. At this moment, the spirit of the sacred artifact and the golden monkey also saw Yi Chen being transmitted out of the ancient god tower. Yi Chen! The spirit of the sacred artifact immediately called out excitedly. The palm-sized, furry, golden monkey, radiant all over with flying golden light, with eyes like black gems, also swooshed in a blink and hopped in front of Yi Chen. The golden monkey blinked at Yi Chen with its gem-like eyes, tilting its little head and looking at Yi Chen curiously. Artifact spirit, my lord. Yi Chen smiled as he looked at the 100-meter-tall giant golden monkey that the spirit of the sacred artifact had transformed into, recognizing it as the spirit of the sacred artifact. After many days of arduous cultivation in the divine tower, he had finally met the spirit of the sacred artifact once more. At the same time, Yi Chen also saw the extraordinarily divine golden monkey. Wow, what a cute little monkey! Yi Chen looked at the golden monkey, which, unafraid of strangers, directly scurried onto Yi Chen's shoulder and affectionately rubbed its little head against Yi Chen's clothes. This is... Yi Chen was wondering why the little monkey was so intimate with him when the spirit of the sacred artifact walked over to Yi Chen with a smile. Yi Chen, congratulations on making it through the ancient god tower. You have far exceeded the ultimate challenge set by my old master, Heavenly Saint Di Kong, and you will receive the highest reward left by my old master. Heavenly Saint Di Kong's highest reward? Yi Chen looked towards the spirit of the sacred artifact. Of course, he remembered the highest reward of Heavenly Saint Di Kong. The 3 old clan chiefs had been quite preoccupied with it, saying that in this ultimate land, one might receive Di Kong's highest reward. Previously, Yi Chen thought that the highest reward was the time flow rate opportunity of the ancient god tower, but surprisingly, there was another reward beyond that. The spirit of the sacred artifact pointed at the golden monkey on Yi Chen's shoulder with a smile and said, This highest reward is also related to this little one. Related to the little monkey? Yi-chun looked at the golden monkey on his shoulder, puzzled. At this moment, the golden monkey also pricked up its little ears, eager to hear what the highest reward was. Yi-chun, the spirit of the sacred artifact said slowly as it looked at Yi-chun. Originally, when my old master Heavenly Saint Dekong left the ultimate challenge of the ancient God Tower, it was partly to bring you all an opportunity, but also to find a powerful genius to fulfill a mission he had entrusted. Back then, when my old master was injured, he was rescued by your 3 clans. You know about it, right? Yi-chun nodded. It was because Heavenly Saint Dekong was injured and encountered the ancestors of the 3 clans that he left a great opportunity in the ancestral land's secret realm. When my old master was injured, it was because he had provoked a very powerful individual, whose strength was even slightly greater than that of my old master. To repay your 3 clans for saving him, my old master left the sacred artifact, Ethereal Spirit Holy Temple, in this ancestral land, and he also left behind something he couldn't put his mind at ease about, here in the ancestral land. This thing is a true spirit egg, which was this golden monkey before it hatched. A true spirit egg? This golden monkey was hatched from a true spirit egg? Yi-chun knew that monkeys are typically born live. He had never seen a monkey hatched from an egg. And what's more, what exactly is a true spirit egg? True spirit is an incredibly powerful divine object in the world that can even traverse different spaces, moving across various continents. This golden monkey is a descendant of a close friend of my former master. After that friend went to another world, he entrusted my former master to take care of the monkey. Afraid that enemies might pursue and threaten the monkey's safety, my former master left the true spirit egg within the Ethereal Spirit Holy Temple and entrusted me that if he came back to retrieve the true spirit egg, all would be well, but if he did not return, whoever could make it to the 15th floor of the ancient God Tower would be charged with caring for the true spirit egg. Moreover, my former master decreed that if the monkey were hatched, staying inside the Ethereal Spirit Holy Temple would hinder its growth. Whoever was to look after it must make a life-bound oath to take the monkey out of the secret realm, with a promise to care for it well, never to harm it, and eventually, when there's a chance, to send the monkey to the Jindi ancient clan. Yi-chun, when you entered the Ethereal Spirit Holy Temple, it so happened that this little one had just been born not long before. It seems you two are fated. Are you willing to fulfill my old master's entrustment, to look after this little one, and eventually send it to the Jindi ancient clan? If you're unwilling, I will erase this secret from your memory, and you may leave the ancestral land's secret realm as usual. Having said these words, the spirit of the sacred artifact looked at Yi-chun. The golden monkey was also blinking its shiny black eyes, looking at Yi-chun. Yi-chun glanced at the spirit of the sacred artifact and then at the golden monkey. He smiled and nodded. The ancestral land's secret realm has given me a great opportunity, and the ultimate test of the ancient God Tower has yielded significant gains for me. Since it's a task entrusted by Heavenly Saint Dekong, I am willing to complete it. How should I take care of the monkey, and how do I send it to the Jindi ancient clan? Yi-chun was familiar with lifebound oaths. This lifebound oath is a martial artist's fundamental commitment, which can absolutely not be reneged upon. Otherwise, one's martial arts spirit will be severely damaged, and advancement in cultivation will become impossible. Yi-chun had no aversion to making a lifebound oath to take care of the little monkey. Seeing that Yi-chun had agreed, the spirit of the sacred artifact was overjoyed, and the golden monkey's eyes, brilliant like black jewels, also sparkled mysteriously, showing it had grown even more affectionate toward Yi-chun. We can talk about the lifebound oath later. Yi-chun, let me first tell you about 3 treasures. These 3 treasures are gifts for taking care of the little monkey, and they are also the greatest rewards set by my old master. If you decide not to fulfill my old master's entrustment, then these 3 treasures will have nothing to do with you, the spirit of the sacred artifact said with a smile. The first treasure is known as the Heaven Spirit Ring. It is a space-based secret treasure that one can carry around. The little monkey will be able to live in it in the future. Carrying the Heaven Spirit Ring will also greatly benefit you. How to use this ring? along with the location of the Jindi ancient clan, and other matters are all stored within it. You will know once I hand the Heaven Spirit Ring to you. The second treasure is called Heavenly Saint Bracelets. There's a pair of them consisting of an attack bracelet and a defense bracelet, each containing 13 Heavenly Saint law beads crafted by my old master, imbued with Heavenly Saint level attacks and defenses, to aid you in your cultivation and ensure your safety while caring for the little monkey. The third treasure is called the Great Shift Law Bead. If you face an irresistible threat of death, it can transport you back to the ethereal spirit holy temple, saving you and the monkey's safety once. Of course, if the Great Shift Law Bead is used, you will no longer be able to look after the monkey, and I will consider whether to take back the other treasures depending on the situation. Heaven Spirit Ring, Heavenly Saint Bracelets, Great Shift Law Bead. These are the three great treasures left by Heavenly Saint Dekong, the greatest rewards for taking care of the little monkey. Yi Chun. Now, let's proceed to give your life-bound oath. After the vow, I will also hand over the three great treasures to you, and once you've performed a blood sacrifice, you will be able to use them. After explaining everything, the spirit of the sacred artifact began to tell Yi Chun about the method of making a life-bound oath. Half an hour later, within the ancestral lands of the three major families of Yi, Bai, and Qian, a storm suddenly whipped up. Then, a figure of a youth appeared above the ancestral land and was then directly transported outside of it. This youth, who had stayed in the outer and central areas of the ancestral land's secret realm for 10 days and in the ancient god tower for 54 days, an entire 2 months and 4 days, had finally emerged from the ancestral land's secret realm. Yi Chun had finally returned to the three clans. Yi Chun, with newfound strength, had finally come back. Touching the ethereal spirit ring on his hand, Yi Chun smiled faintly. Inside the ring was an even more precious Heaven Spirit Ring, in which the golden monkey was soundly sleeping. After making the life-bound oath, the golden monkey finally followed Yi Chun out of the ancestral land's secret realm and into the world beyond. Within the Heaven Spirit Ring, there was also a fist-sized law bead treasured away. This bead was the Great Shift Law Bead that Yi Chun had sanctified with his essence blood. On Yi Chun's wrists were black bracelets on each hand, which appeared ordinary from the outside. However, they were forged by Heavenly Saint Dekong himself, each containing 13 powerful law beads. The Heavenly Saint Bracelets. The adventure in the ancestral land's secret realm for over 2 months had yielded tremendous gains for Yi Chun. As Yi Chun was gathering his thoughts, ready to return home to see his parents whom he hadn't seen for months, he suddenly heard an excited shout, "Yi Chun!" Next, he saw Bai Xiao Dai with tears streaming down her face, flying towards him.